Welcome to the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris the Candyman, and tonight you already know what time it is. We're talking everything week 5 and drafting some best ball teams. I'm pretty pumped for this week 5 slate. Been doing a lot of number crunching this week, looking at the trends through the first 4 weeks. I've made some trades in my dynasty leagues. I've had to pick up some players off of waivers and start them this week with 4 teams on a bye. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about in the NFL. Lamar Jackson is out this week. Who should we be starting in our flex spots? We're going to get into that and more tonight on the stream. We're going late. We're drafting some dailies on Underdog as well. So we'll get into that. We're answering your questions in the chat, sit, start, rest of season, all of that good stuff. And gonna have some fun. It's Saturday night. I just got back from the beach. It's me and the dog, and we're chilling. So come say what up in the chat. Let me know what questions you got for week 5. And if you're new to the channel, or if you're watching this later in the future, make sure you're subscribed. I've got a channel goal to hit 1,000 subs by the end of the NFL season. I think we can do it, but I need your help. So get in here. Make sure you slap that like button. And without further ado, let's get right to it. But overall, it's like the guy can ball. Like, actions speak louder than words. What's going on tonight? How we doing, everyone? We got LK F Ja here early. What's up, brother? How you doing? What up? Got Trone Force. LFG, baby. Let's go. Guys, I'm pumped. I'm really pumped for this week 5. It's make or break in a lot of ways in a lot of leagues, right? If it's your dynasty team, are you tanking after this week? Are you going for the championship? If it's your redraft leagues, this is when things start to get rocky for a lot of teams. It's a long way to go still, so don't give up yet. But if you're 0-4, 1-3, feeling a little bit nervous, you got to win this week. It feels like it at least. And I think this is also the point, getting into week 6, week 7 is where people who, especially in the redraft leagues, had a rough start, they start to care less and less. So if you're going to make those trades, you're going to have to get it in soon because people are starting to trickle out of paying attention to the league. If I'm 0-4 or 1-4, I don't really care about making a trade that to me doesn't really move the needle, and maybe I don't want to give up my top player. I just don't see the point in it, So this can be a time where everyone is still engaged in their redraft leagues. You can make some trades happen, try to help someone out, try to help out yourself. That's what it's all about. We got Captain Clutch Pants in here. Hey, yeah, I know. Tough break for the Horns. I watched the game with a bunch of the fam at the beach house, caught some of the game, touched some sand. There'll be better days ahead. Tough road loss, a 1-score loss in the first SEC matchup of the year for the Horns. Things will get better, but it did not look great. First quarter was really rough. A lot of penalties, a lot of missed deep balls. Come on, we got to get some better play calling here. It's not all on Arch. Yeah, what's up, Andre? How we doing? Can we trust Hawkinson tomorrow with the Bowers? Did not practice. Yeah, let me flip over to my tight end rankings. I'm going to go ahead and bring this one up. Let me flip on the overlay. Boop. Okay. So, Andre, what I'm looking at here, this is, and you guys already know, but this is Jake Seeley from The Athletic. He posts positional matchups. It's APA, adjusted points allowed. So it's based on the defenses they're matching, right? So the Cincinnati Bengals, their defense allows 13.1 points to the tight end position, right? Adjusted. So if average is about 9, we're getting +4 on this one. And yeah, so the Bengals is the best matchup this week, right? So can we trust Hawkinson? Hawkinson and the Vikings, we know they're playing a very stingy Cleveland Browns defense tomorrow in London, the early game. That is the 24th out of 28th matchup for tight ends, -3, pretty negative. Can you do better? Maybe. I think Hawkinson is completely replacement level this week. I don't think it's a plus matchup. I think it's a tough spot. I see Addison and Jefferson being okay. Hawkinson, I'd be surprised if it was a big Hawkinson day. But, I'm not going to advise you to drop him and just to pick up someone if your waiver is pretty thin. It's just a question of what other options do you have. But if you got Bowers and Hawkinson and you're going to play it through Hawkinson, I mean, that's pretty understandable, I would say, right? That's not crazy that you would consider doing that. I just think it's not necessarily a great matchup. So if you've got someone on your waiver that's any better, let me know. We can figure it out. I'm going to put a banner up. I need to. I'm just writing something up right now that I forgot to do. And then also on the agenda tonight, we're going to be looking at the week 5 schedule, and we already have been. We're looking at it a little bit more. We're going to go through some data, some more running back data. I'm going to do a whole piece on Woody Marks and why you got to start him this week. And then we're going to draft some dailies on Underdog. If the primetime Palooza or primetime hurry up contests are still open, I'll do some of those. If not, we'll see what we can get into. Maybe some main slate battle royale stuff. I'll catch up with y'all in a sec. Boom. Boom. There we go. I think that's worth sharing because someone mentioned it last night and then I didn't see him in the chat for a half minute and I think they disappeared, but that's a little reminder. What up, Putt Daddy? We got Who Hames in here. Who Hames, you were just live with Big Draft Energy, weren't you? I just got home and I saw that you were live. At least I saw it on Twitter. Hope you had a great stream, my friend. What's up, Marvin? How we doing, brother? Let's see. So Hawkinson, I think we're okay with Hawkinson, but it could be better, right? Captain Clutch Pants says he's not feeling great about his team right now. He's 4-0, but just been lucky. 12-man full point. Baker and Gibbs, I like that. I like that start. Baker, he's a gamer. He's a baller. Playing through injury. Gibbs, we already know about Gibbs. He's super elite. I'm guessing that's Jalen Warren. You're going through your lineups. Jalen Warren, he's out this week, but he's fine. He's been good. He's all right. Nico, love him. Need some more of him. Brian Thomas Jr., let's get it going this week, Brian Thomas Jr. Lad, same thing, Lad. We want to see more out of Lad. Kraft, I remember you. I think you mentioned this team before, Captain Clutch. Kraft, love it. He's on a bye. I don't know who to trade to get better overall. I think you kind of sit and wait because you have made your bed around Nico and Brian Thomas Jr. and Gibbs. Let that pan out a little bit. It's still early in the season. Let's see if Nico and Brian Thomas Jr. can come back into the form that we were expecting. We got Paulino in here. How we doing, brother? LK says somebody dropped Pacheco. I know the Chiefs running game is horrid. I want to pick him up and start him, as my only running backs playing are Chubb and Kamara. I mean, Chubb is losing out his job to Woody Marks, but he has a plus matchup this week, and he's gotten some good utilization so far. As far as Kamara's been pretty underwhelming. This could be a nice spot for him against the New York Giants. Let's go to the running back matchups. We already know the Texans are the best matchup. So I don't hate the Nick Chubb start if you need it with guys on bye. For New York against the Saints, that's going to be a decent matchup as well. Or the Saints against New York, a really good matchup there for Kamara. So I'm cool with those two. You'll see Pacheco shows up kind of bottom middle of the pack against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Is it going to be Pacheco? Is it going to be Kareem Hunt? Do we see Brashard Smith getting more involved? So I've been underwhelmed by the Chiefs run game that's from anyone not named Patrick Mahomes. I don't think he's a priority pickup if you can't afford to drop someone, but it's crazy that we're already out on Pacheco and it's week 5, right? He was supposed to be an RB2 flex. Hey, yo, my man Bindles. What's up, brother? How we doing? Happy Saturday. Hope you're doing good, man. Hope you're doing good. Finished like 30 minutes ago. Nice. How's your weekend going, Putt Daddy? What's up, brother? Got Marvin. What up, my man? Andre says, in start 1, PPR, Andrew Strange, Mason Taylor in a must-win situation. Let's think about this. Let's go to our Jake Sealing matchups. I think this is a fair, quick way to understand, what we're going up against on these defenses. Andrews, Strange, or Mason Taylor off the bat, I'm thinking Andrews, but he doesn't have Lamar, right? We know Lamar's not playing, so what does the matchup look like against the Texans? It's not an easy matchup. It's kind of middle of the road, bottom half for Mark Andrews against the Houston Texans. Brenton Strange against the Chiefs is even worse of a matchup, although he's been a top target for Trevor Lawrence this far into the season. I don't think it's a great spot to be in. And then Mason Taylor, I just don't love the whole passing volume of the Jets, although they are going up against Dallas. Seems okay. I think Dallas is actually a little bit better against the tight end than you might expect for how bad they are against how favorable of a quarterback they are for wide receivers, the number 2 matchup this week, and for quarterbacks, the number 2 matchup this week. So that's running backs. Good for running backs too. I know quarterbacks high though. The number 5 matchup this week for quarterbacks. So all of that to say, I'm leaning Mark Andrews. Kind of a boomer bust guy this year, it seems, but we saw the touchdown streak he went on in the second half of the season last year. Had a career high. I think it was a career high 11 touchdowns. Pretty sure that was his career high, but I know he's had some good seasons in the past. It's been a while. I'm leaning Mark Andrews. Marvin wants to know, would we start Judkins over Achane or Kamara this week? I personally would be starting Judkins over Kamara, not over Achane though. Just a quick matchup detail. So for Kamara, he's got a nice matchup against the Giants, but he's been pretty underwhelming, and we'll get into the running back data after we look at this matchup too, because this is a fun one to think about. You're not going to bench Achane, so doesn't matter. He's matchup proof. Even though the Carolina Panthers are kind of a negative matchup for running backs, he's going to get used a ton through the air, through the passing game, especially with Tyreek Hill going out. The target share pie just expands for Achane and Waddle, I think. A little bit for Malik Washington too, if you guys saw that short that I posted today. which came from our stream last night. Judkins against Minnesota Vikings. I don't think it's that bad of a matchup. It's middle of the road, 15 out of 28, but we saw what Kenny Gainwell did last week against the Vikings. He put up 99 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, and that's Kenneth Gainwell. So Quinshon Judkins wheels up. Let's get into some running back data. This is some summarized data from the first 4 weeks of the season. I'll keep it around here so we can make sure we can see what's going on. Let me just narrow these a bit. So we can see all the good data on the back end here. I don't have to zoom out too far. Okay, so who do we want to look at? We want to look at Judkins, Achane, and Kamara in summary. So Achane pops off right here in the 4 weeks that he's played. Let me zoom in just a little bit more, actually. Let me go ahead and do this. And then we know how many weeks there's been. Oops. Come on now. I'm going to go ahead and hide these ones for now, just so we have more space to look. Yes, this is what I wanted to see. And then our average can come in. Our weekly high can come in. Our total touchdown can come in a little bit, just so we can see all this data. Let me squeeze these a little bit. Okay, here's our view. This is 4 weeks of data summarized for all of the meaningful running backs. Let's look at Achane, and I'll point out the things that I think are interesting. So you see right here where it says 25%, 1 out of 4 games, he's scored above a threshold of 17 fantasy points. And he did it with 22.2 points. So 22.2 points is the highest score of the year so far. That's above 20. That's registering as an elite score. So 1/4 of his games, he's been in the RB1 threshold. He also had an elite score above 20 points. 100% of the time, he has scored above 10 fantasy points. 3 out of the 4 times, 75%, he has scored above 14 or 13 fantasy points. And he's averaging, 16.6. His highest weekly finish was the third best running back in a given week. He's averaging 0.96 fantasy points per touch in half PPR, which is pretty decent. He's got 69 touches, 3 touchdowns, 66.4 total fantasy points. So Achane, he can get you that elite ceiling, and he's very consistent. He's averaging like 17 points a game. So we want that. Let's go to our next player on the list, Judkins. And these are ranked by the number of elite and RB1 scoring weeks they had. The first 3 columns here is their weekly finish. So like, even though Achane finished as a top 12 running back twice, only one of those eclipsed 17 fantasy points, which is my threshold for RB1 scoring that I refined over the years. So like in some weeks, you might have someone who scores 17 or 18 points, but they're the 13th or 14th best running back on the week because it's a really good running back scoring week. I still want to give them credit as an RB1, even if they finish outside the top 12. So there's a difference in how we're counting things here, but it helps understand it from both angles. So while Achane had 2 weeks where he's a top 12 finish running back, only 1 week where he eclipsed the 17-point threshold to get to that first tier 1 running back in my scoring threshold. Quinshon Judkins, he's really only played 2 full games and a half game. He missed the week 1. So essentially, I mean, his numbers are actually better than what we're seeing here, but his highest score is 19.5, just barely sub elite. But he's had a 1 week with the RB1 scoring, 2 weeks in the top 12. It's the last 2 weeks he averaged 14.7 fantasy points this season, but in the last 2 weeks, he's averaging, I think close to like 18 points, 19 points. He is averaging 0.77 fantasy points per touch. He has 57 touches, 2 touchdowns. And I know he's had 22.5 touches on average over the last 2 weeks. So he's getting insane usage, like really good usage. Got to start Achane, got to start Judkins. We scroll all the way down until we find Alvin Kamara on this list. He's a lot lower than you would expect. He has averaged only 10.3 fantasy points per game, 0.53 fantasy points per touch. He's had 78 touches, so a ton of touches, but not a lot of fantasy points. Only one touchdown, only 41 total fantasy points across all 4 weeks. 0 weeks as a top 12 running back, 0 weeks scoring above 17 points. Only 50% of the time this season, only in 2 games, has he even scored more than 10 points. So Alvin Kamara, even in a super plus matchup, maybe this is, Kendre Miller taking over more workload. Kamara's been super underwhelming, and I think the usage for Judkins and Achane makes them must starts. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking at when I'm making my decisions around these running backs and trying to incorporate as much of the current in-season data that I can and figure out, what's going on. And it's really the fantasy points per touch is a really interesting metric that I've started to look at and get comfortable with what the expectation should be. So I think, and that this perfectly segues into me wanting to show you guys Woody Marks and to start to look into how incredible his rise has been since his breakout game last week, and if it can continue. So we'll get to that in a second. We'll jump into Woody Marks after I keep going through y'all's questions. We'll see what we got going on. We've got Putt Daddy saying his weekly debate: Hurts against Denver or May against Buffalo. That's a good question. I think the matchup against Buffalo, it should be high scoring, relatively high scoring, but it's kind of a tough matchup. Let's see what it shows here for the adjusted points allowed. Yeah, it's definitely a minus matchup. Just I think it's a high scoring event where Buffalo can score a lot. New England might be able to try to keep up. Drake May has a great fantasy floor with the rushing upside. So I'm leaning that you probably just go Hurts against Denver. But it's nice that you have Drake May. Hurts against Denver also going to be a pretty negative matchup down here, but it's Hurts. There's always that his rushing upside is touchdown base, and I think it's his ceiling's even higher than May, even though May's had some really nice weeks. So that's kind of a hard one. How we doing, Paulino? Good to see you, my man. I probably would put Debo in my flex over Kamara with Jaden Daniels back. Captain Clutch Pants says, I potentially have a trade for Hampton and JSN and Teroy McMillan. If I give up Gibbs, Nico, and Brian Thomas Jr., feels pretty solid, but not sure. That's tough. I want the best player in the trade, and that's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. Then, that's a small step down to Hampton, but it's actually a step. I mean, it is a step down for sure. It's a step down to Hampton. Hampton's had some really nice weeks, 2 elite scoring weeks. He's doing well, but I still think I still want to get Gibbs. I think it's a small step down to Hampton, but it's still noticeable. Otherwise, Nico and Brian Thomas versus JSN and T-Mac. JSN and T-Mac have had a better start than Nico and Brian Thomas, so I can see how that kind of balances it out. I think it's very fair. It just comes down to which players you'd rather have on your team. Personally, I want the highest scoring ceiling. That's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs in the Lions, but I can see why you might like, looking into this trade. I don't really love getting rid of Jahmyr Gibbs. Yo, what's up, Kyrie? How we doing, brother? We got Hartman in the chat. What's up? What's up, my friend? We got Jerpy here. Hey, yo, what's up? Marvin then says, so with the data popping off, my question is Kamara or Debo for the flex? Yeah, definitely Debo, I think. I think Debo. Debo's had some nice fantasy starts. McLaurin's out. Jaden Daniels in. Pretty solid matchup, too. I think just from like a scoring situation that the Commanders against the Chargers. Chargers are a tough team, but it could be a fun shootout type scenario with both of these QBs trying to, get it done. Kyrie says, should I start Javonte even though Jaden Blue is making his debut? I think yes. I'm excited to see Jaden Blue's debut. I'm a big Blue fan. Drafted a ton of them all season. I've got him on a high stakes team. Pleasantly surprised, or actually kind of like sick to my stomach to see how well Javonte's been doing. But I think you should. I think you should start Javonte. because let's look at the data just a little bit. And we got it right here. The summary on Javonte is he's finished as a RB1, scoring more than 17 fantasy points in 3 out of his 4 matchups. He had one matchup, 1 week where he scored less than 10 fantasy points, but he's also had a week where he scored 22 fantasy points in half point PPR. That hits the elite flag. So 1/4 of the games he gets that elite score. He's averaging 17 points a game. He's averaging an RB1 scoring output. He's finished his highest was RB3 on the week overall. He's got 0.87 fantasy points per touch. That's super good. Really good for how much volume he's getting. For 79 touches, compare that to Alvin Kamara, who's at like 0.6 fantasy points per touch on almost the same amount of touches. So he's essentially, outplaying Alvin Kamara. And it is because of the touchdowns. He's got 4 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara has 1. But he's got 28 more fantasy points than Alvin Kamara in across 4 weeks. So he's just averaging 7 more points a game. It's insane. Javonte Williams, kind of a must start, especially in this matchup against the Jets. Really, really plus matchup. We'll see. Can Blue come in and take some workload? And, do things start to shift the rest of the season? Maybe. But I know the coaches have a ton of confidence in Javonte Williams, his pass blocking ability, and he's getting it done. He's looking good. How we doing tonight, Hartman? It's Blues backfield now. Simple as that. He says with a smirk and a laugh. Jerpy wants to know, I need 2, Myers, McConkey, or Godwin. The stat that's been going around that I'm hearing people say on podcasts, I heard Davis Maddox say it on the stream, the 4 for 4 fantasy stream. And I heard Corain say it in the Legendary Upside walkthrough this week. Chris Godwin had something like 17 expected fantasy points in PPR last week. He only scored 7 points. So he was like, or whatever it was. So he was like negative 10 points against his points expected. There's 2 ways to look at that. One is, he's getting a ton of opportunity. He should continue to get, further removed from the injury and more game time and things will be good. Or you look at the other side of the fence and you go, wow, he should be doing something. He's literally doing nothing. So I'm curious. The usage is good. I'm interested to potentially start Godwin this week. I might go McConkey and Godwin, but Myers has just been a little underwhelming too. He's got a huge target share. Maybe with Bowers injured or just out, could we see a big Myers week instead of a Trey Tucker week? I think there's one on the horizon, but I don't know. I think this is very close. I'm leaning McConkey and Godwin, but I could be convinced. Jason, how we doing, my friend? Jason wants to know Trey Tucker or Troy Franklin. I think this could be a decent spot for both. I'm starting Trey Tucker in my home league. It's half PPR. I'm hoping to get something instead of nothing. I think there's an opportunity to take advantage of the Indianapolis Colts secondary is one thing I heard Corain mention in his Legendary Upside walkthrough for this week. I think there's some potential issues with the Colts secondary you can take advantage of. So that could be a good spot for Trey Tucker. It could be a good spot for Jacoby Myers likewise. And then for Troy Franklin going up against the Eagles, that seems like a decent spot. I'm scrolling through. For some reason, I can't find. There it is. Nope, lost it again. There it is. It's literally the worst matchup. Why would I think that could be good? What am I thinking of? It says it's the worst matchup for the wide receivers of Denver against Philadelphia. I don't know why I had it in my head. That might be like an okay matchup. Seems pretty bad. So let's go with Trey Tucker this week. Yeah, what's up, RJ? Hartman says, are the Jets bad against the run or just general game script? I think I'd seen that they were generally not great against the run when I was doing the looking into the Jets for the primetime Palooza slate when they played the Dolphins last week. But let's go ahead and look at their team stats. And this is nothing advanced, but like maybe we can get a little insight here. So the opponents of the Jets, and it could be game script too, they've passed for 200 yards, net passing yards per game, but they're rushing for 130. They're averaging 4 yards per attempt. So they are running the ball a lot. So it's not necessarily they're doing it with efficiency. They're kind of doing it with volume. That could be some game script stuff. Hard to know for sure. I'd have to get some better data to dig into on that. But I think you can take advantage of the Jets with a running back like Javonte. I think it's fine. And then Hames was saying, yeah, Godwin had those 10 targets and what did he have? 3 or 4 catches, but like no yards, 20 yards. What's up, Mantis? How we doing? What's up, Jay Tube? How you guys doing? Jason also says, start 2 and it's half PPR. T. Higgins, yikes. Rashid Shaheed, I'm interested. Michael Carter or Jordan Addison. Okay. I'm probably a slight lean to my favorite in this is Jordan Addison. And then my second favorite is it's close, but between Shaheed and Michael Carter. If you have faith that Michael Carter is going to get a decent workload, which it sounds like he might, and it's a good matchup against the Titans where we just saw Woody Marks and Chubb have good fantasy weeks, I think I'm leaning Carter, but I'm also starting Shaheed in my home league where I'm also starting Trey Tucker and I'm benching T. Higgins. It sounds crazy. I don't know what's going on, but I just can't keep having T. Higgins rolled out there and him do nothing at all. So it's insane. I don't know what's got to change. We talk about it every night. The Bengals offensive line is terrible, and Jake Browning could have some good weeks, but so far not happening. So Shaheed, probably I'm thinking Addison and Shaheed is pretty nice, but in half point, Michael Carter, if he gets a decent workload, I just don't know if we see Michael Carter have like a huge spike week. And I think Shaheed could catch a big 20, 40-yard touchdown and have a really nice scoring week. So I think Shaheed might have a higher ceiling than Michael Carter until we see how many touches Michael Carter can get. RJ says, should I trade Quinshon Judkins for Dobbins, Jamison Williams, and Ricky Pearsall? If you can get all 3 of them and you need them and you need to start those guys like currently, then I think it makes sense because you are getting a nice amount there. Judkins has the highest ceiling out of all of these guys in half point per reception. Ricky Pearsall injured right now, but we know he's fun. He's good. Jamison Williams hasn't been connecting with Goff perfectly, but he's running all of the routes. He's got a ton of opportunity, and we know what his big game potential can be. Dobbins, safe floor, no real ceiling. I think Judkins has the highest, consistently highest ceiling out of these 4 players. But then, we could have big spike weeks from JMO and from Ricky. And I think Dobbins is a nice floor play for a flex. So if you need other positions to start, I would do it. But I think the best player in this trade is Quinshon Judkins. What's up, Game Face? How we doing? Mantis, I don't want to start Addison versus Cleveland overseas. I need someone to tell me it's okay to start Hendo, Tootin, or Sharbs. Oh, what should I do? Hey, brother. I feel that. Browns are a pretty tough matchup. Addison is, though, he's just kind of a big play waiting to happen, In his first game back, he goes off for 114 yards with Carson Wentz. It's the Steelers. I think the Cleveland Browns is a tougher matchup. Maybe they get the ball in some very opportune field positions with a turnover from Gabriel or something like that. But I would not start. I like Tootin a lot. I want Tootin on my bench. I want to see him break out soon and get him more involved. One thing about Tootin, I'll say, he's gotten a very impressive fantasy points per touch at 1.1, which is very good, but his sample size is pretty small. Only 24 touches through those first 4 games. He's averaging 6.6 fantasy points. He did have 14.4 fantasy points, was his highest scoring week. So we just need to see him get more touches. If he's getting 10 to 15 touches per game, Bashal Tutin's going to be dangerous, a really fun flex play. But he's just not getting that volume yet. With Hendo, like I'm super excited about Henderson, but he's even lower on this list. He's way down here at 0.79 fantasy points per touch. Also respectable, not bad. He's only had 39 touches, 1 touchdown. He's averaging 7.7 fantasy points per game. He's had his best week was 11.6. We just need to see him do something this week against the Bills, improve it, and take over more of the workload from Ramondre Stevenson. So even if Travion this week gets the most touches he's ever had, if he gets like 15 touches, we should only expect like 13 fantasy points or 12 fantasy points. It's kind of what that says. Charbonnet, I think it's really tough. He's kind of in that Alvin Kamara box where 0.56 fantasy points per touch, and Ken Walker is getting the touches there. So I think it's a bad matchup as well against the Bucks. So I would not say Charbonnet is my least favorite. Tutin is kind of hard to know if it's going to be his week, but it's prime time against the Chiefs. It could be fun. Kind of a pretty good defense, though. Henderson in a smash spot against the Bills, where the Bills are a run funnel defense. They only allow 124 passing yards per game, but their opponents are averaging like 160 rushing yards per game. So literally the best defensive matchup for a running back. Does Henderson go off this week? This could be the one. So if you're super out on Addison, which I'm not, I would go Henderson. But like I said, if you bench Addison, then you run the risk of missing out on some of this. I mean, it's that easy. Boom, touchdown. I get what you're saying, though. The overseas, playing the Browns, that can be tough. Great question by Mantis. Really fun bench of running backs there. Besides Charbonnet, I think we might need to cut bait on Charbonnet. He's so contingent now. And if Ken Walker goes down, maybe he's relevant again like we saw last year. But without that, tough. I just don't see him winning the role on Ken Walker, 1-for-1 without the injury. J-Tube. We got old school football plays in here. What's up, brother? Chris B, CB Jets fan. My man. Let's get a win for the Jets this week. Come on, Jets. Damn it. Let's go. Get a win against the Cowboys. Let's do it. J-Tube says, do I give away May and Hampton? Okay, that's pretty expensive price already, right? So I'll stop you right there. May has been insanely good for fantasy, especially at his price that we had to get, draft him at. And then Hampton has been popping off lately. He's got 2 elite weeks here. He's averaging, only 14 fantasy points per game, but he's had a game with 25 points. He's getting 0.84 fantasy points per touch. He's coming into his own. Najee Harris gone for the season, so he's the man. I haven't looked ahead. Now let's figure out what you might be able to get in this trade, but I already don't like the sound of it. I don't like giving away May and Hampton. Let's see what you're going to get. For Kamara and Chase, no, I hate this. I hate this trade. We just talked about Kamara, literally one of the worst players in fantasy right now. And Chase is in the worst spot, Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow's gone. He's not coming back. The offensive line couldn't be worse. It's going to be so hard to know when to play Jamar Chase. He's going to have some good weeks. Essentially, we know the talent. So there's going to be some good weeks in there, some spike weeks, but the floor has gone basement so low. I want May and Hampton. You have Caleb. I like that. Bucky and Bijan, awesome. So you want to keep Bucky and Bijan and Hampton together because Bucky's out right now, but you have a nice trio of running backs. You can counter. He's got Scattaboo, Rice, and Judkins. I would try to move, if he really wants Drake May, if that's the piece he's going for. It depends on what you like better. Do you like Drake May better or Caleb Williams better? If he wants Drake May, I would try to get rid of Drake May for either Rice or Scattaboo or Judkins. But what you're saying is, and probably Rice, because it sounds like your running backs are set. But what you're saying is if he wouldn't give up one of those guys for May straight up, how do you sweeten it? I wouldn't do it with Hampton, and I wouldn't tier down from Hampton to Kamara. I don't think that's a good idea. Also, Kamara's starting to lose the role to Kendre Miller, so red flags are up. Game Face, how we doing? Happy Saturday, everyone. Make sure you guys have slapped that like button. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at FFB Garage. You'll know when I'm going live. You'll know when I'm collabing with other great people in the fantasy football content space. And I promise you I'll follow back. So follow for follow. Get at me on Twitter. Make sure you're subbed here if you're new. Come say what up in the chat. Slap that like button and vote in the poll. Let me know what you voted in the poll, and then let me know what your sit start issue is. If it's at QB or tight end, one of the onesies, or if it's one of the flex positions this week. A lot of you guys have flex questions, so I've seen Putt Daddy had the QB question. We saw some tight end questions early on. Most people are still trying to figure out their flex with these buys, which I think is totally reasonable. Let's get back into it. Game Face wants to know, should I trade Flowers for TJ Warren? If you need a tight end, I could see that. I'm pretty in on Flowers, though. We saw what he could do in week 2. He popped off, but it's been hit or miss. So I like TJ Warren. I think that's talking about Tyler Warren, right? TJ Warren, Tyler Warren. Mike Robb, how we doing, brother? Hope you're having a great Saturday night. Thanks for stopping by. We also got Sam in here. What's up, Sam? Okay, so Marvin wants to know, Pickens and Johnson are my wide receiver ones with Debo in the flex. Okay, this is sexy. I like this. I'm interested. That means Kamara and Jamar Chase on the bench. This feels scary, bro. We're living in the future. It's the year 2025, and Kamara and Jamar Chase are must bench players. Who would have predicted this? Not me. I don't know if I should do the trade because I want to bench Higgins, but I have no one else to start. Oh, okay. So you're thinking you need a wide receiver, RJ? Yeah, I'm afraid of starting Higgins too. I'm benching Higgins for anyone I can possibly start over him this week, which is weird, but also have Amari Hampton as a starter, so I don't know. I love Hampton, right? I love Hampton. I think you got the best offer that I've seen in these trades, right? Judkins for Dobbins, Jamison Williams, and Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall already played. He's out. But you could start JMO this week in a really good spot against the Bengals. You could also start Dobbins with some confidence that he's like a good floor flex play. But I hate to give up Judkins, but I think this is fair. Old School says, should I trade Jamar Chase for Olave? God, I don't know. Did you ask this last night? Did we talk about this last night? I don't know the right answer. I know Olave is like top 3 in the league in targets. Spencer Rattler's been chunking the ball up. The Kellen Moore offense is very high pace, high tempo, a lot of passing attempts. We might see a quarterback change at some point from Rattler to Shuck, but it hadn't happened yet. And Rattler hadn't thrown a lot of interceptions, hadn't made a lot of mistakes. They're just not really winning, right? So I don't know. Trade Jamar Chase for Olave. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. I honestly don't know what to do. I think you might want Olave, but we know Chase has the higher ceiling, right? What do you guys think? Hey, thanks for the kind words. As always, my friend, Crispy. Thank you. Hope you're having a great night, man. Let's get a win for those Jets tomorrow, hey? What do you say? We beat the Cowboys. Mike Robb asks, what are your favorite stats to look at when deciding on bets and plays for the week? Great question. I don't place a lot of bets. You might be surprised to learn. I usually do bets during like the Super Bowl. I make like a special occasion out of it, or I'll bet on college football. And I don't bet on college football so often, but I'll give like advice to people who do bet on college football of like what I would do. And it's usually just the unders. So not the most exciting there, but yeah, when I'm making plays, sit starts, what data do I look at? I mostly look at like utilization. So like snaps, how many snaps the player is playing, the percentage of touches they're getting, percentage of snaps, percentage of routes run, those kind of things. I think like the usage stats are really important to understand. And then, trying to find decent matchups, but not just be driven solely by the matchups. I know I talk a lot here about the Jake Seeley, adjusted points allowed, matchup ranking, strength of schedule stuff that he puts on The Athletic every week. But I think matchups that's driven by a large sample size of data, and anything can happen, in a 60 minutes in a football game on the field. So a sample size of 1, anything can happen. So I don't worry about the strength of the schedule too much, which is one reason I still would be interested in starting Addison against the Browns this week. Even though they're a tough matchup, I just bet on talent with like Addison. And we saw how he was getting used last week, the targets, the yardage. In his first week back in action, they needed him back. So I like to follow those kind of things. How about you, Mike? What's the kind of stuff that you dig into when you're making your bets or your sit starts? Sam wants to know Pollard. Yuck. We're so out on Pollard. Major sit Pollard vibes around here. Hunter. So that's Travis Hunter. Also kind of a risky play. Miller, I assume, is Kendre Miller. Or Downs for my last flex spot. You're making this hard. I'm not going to advise anyone to start Pollard, and let's look at why. Let's scroll all the way down the list until we can possibly find Pollard. Wow, he's below Dylan Sampson on my list. He's averaging 9.7 fantasy points per game. His highest week, he had a 12.9. So he's been an RB3 in 1 out of 4 games. He's averaging almost 10 points, which is close, but 0.52 fantasy points per touch. 74 touches. You couldn't possibly do worse than that. Like, he's even worse than Alvin Kamara by 0.01 fantasy points per touch. So Kamara, Pollard, guys we're trying to avoid. They're also not hitting touchdowns. The Saints aren't scoring enough. The Titans aren't scoring enough. You mentioned Travis Hunter or Downs. I think I've got some faith in Downs. Travis Hunter, we haven't really seen the ceiling yet. Could he have a nice game in primetime? Maybe. Monday Night Football. Kendre Miller, he hits the list right here. He's averaging 0.68 fantasy points per touch, only 31 touches, 1 touchdown. His high scoring week, 12.5. He just had it. But at the same time, it's like, I would start, it's gross, but I would probably still start Pollard over Kendre Miller just because of the opportunities. But I definitely want Downs, I think, overall. And then if I just want to shoot for upside and say, what the hell, I need a big win, maybe Travis Hunter. But probably Downs for me. Yeah. Game. Oh, no, I know what you meant. Yeah, TJ Warren. For a second there, you had me saying TJ Warren. I'm like, who even is TJ Warren? Yeah, Tyler Warren. It's week 5. The Chargers have 2 wide receivers better than Jamar Chase. Neither of them is Ladd McConkey. This is a Orwellian dystopian future. I don't know how we got in this timeline, but here we are. Yeah, I want Rice too, JTube. I'm trying to get Rice where I can get him, and I haven't been able to get him. People have been holding on to him. They don't want to move off of him. IDC moving May. He needs QB. I have depth, so I should try giving Devonta or Bill. Giving a Devonta or JCM as Tolbert is his flex, or MHJ or Chase or Rice, or whatever their tier value I can get. Yeah, I kind of follow what you're saying. I think you could tack on Devonta Smith or Bill Krofsky Merritt. Although I think Bill's role could be expanding. I honestly, here he is. He's kind of worth holding because if his role continues to expand, he's averaging 1.01 fantasy points per touch. He's only had 32 touches, but he got 2 touchdowns. He had a 14.2 week. He's averaging 8 points a week. These are all good signals. I want Bill to get the ball more, and I think he's in a super fun, interesting offense with a good offensive line. Jaden Daniels powered. Anything can happen. Touchdowns galore. So I revised that. Hold Bill, maybe move Devonta Smith in a quarterback and try to upgrade your wide receiver, get like a Rice, like you said. But yeah, looking at this data for Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, I think it's only a matter of time until we're all saying Bill. Science is cool, and yeah, Bill Krosky Merritt's going to be a guy that is an obvious start play, flex play. I think for the second half of the season, so I want to stash him. How we doing, Hakuna Matata? We got um, Calm Yar. What's up, brother? Hartman, who I think is very, very sharp, very strong drafter. And he and I co manage a high stakes FFPC Big Gorilla team together, which we're trying to pick up a tight end for tomorrow. We got Brock Bowers, not potentially playing. So Hartman says, I definitely lean Olave if it's full point. Less full point, I'd maybe go Chase. It's very close, right? It's very close. Hard to know. Hakuna Matata, 69. It would never be another number. Love it. Olave over AJ Brown. Damn, probably right. AJ Brown, higher ceiling. Olave, more consistent, more targets, higher passing volume offense, running way more plays per game. Game scripts could be playing from behind more often. So I think probably these are tough though. Because I'm trying to adjust my priors, but I still want to hold on to the fact that AJ Brown is who we thought he was. He destroys man coverage, those kind of things. Chris B says, thoughts on the Jaguars tight end Brenton Strange in fantasy? He's only about a third rostered. He's had at least 10 fantasy points and 7 targets in 2 straight games, offers fantasy managers a high floor. Yeah, I would agree here. I'm not super in on Brenton Strange. I just haven't been in on him, but he is kind of a key piece of that offense and how they're doing things right now. It's a very tough matchup, I'll say, against the Chiefs, but I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. I think he's kind of like that mid tier tight end, kind of like a high end tight end two, borderline tight end one. If he catches some fire and the Jags are cooking. Sam, hey, appreciate you, my man. Thanks for being here. Kamyar, what's up, dude? Says, should I trade Jackson Smith and Jigba for Scattaboo and AJ Brown? Yes. Yeah, I'm in. I think in my mind, if you're starting one of these guys in your flex, Jackson Smith and Jigba and Scattaboo are in the same tier. For me, whether it's half point or full point, doesn't matter. And then you get AJ Brown on top, and we know what his ceiling is. And it's been disappointing in some weeks, but you're getting a 2-for-1. It also kind of spreads the risk around. I'll share this with you. Let's look at Cam Scattaboo and what his data is after 4 weeks, where he only has been really involved since Tracy went out. And I think Tracy continues to be out, but Scattaboo's holding down the job going forward. So 25% of the time, he's had an RB1 scoring week. He has one elite week in that time. He scored 21 points in half point PPR. He's averaging 12 points per game, but it's going to get higher. It's going to move up. He's getting used more. He's got a pretty safe floor. 3 out of the 4 weeks, he's been at least an RB3, scoring at least 10 points. But I think those are all pointing up in the right direction, especially with now Neighbors out. It's bad for the overall offense. They're going to score less. They're going to be having, shorter drives, converting less third downs, potentially, but they're also going to have to lean on Scattaboo more. And he's got a high pass catching upside. So maybe a little bit of that target pie, that target share widens, gets bigger for Scattaboo. He's got 0.8 fantasy points per touch. He's had 60 touches, 2 touchdowns. I think we can see some more touchdowns for him. And essentially, if he's getting, 15 touches per game, hell, if he's getting 20 touches per game, he's going to be averaging about 16 fantasy points. So that's borderline, that's really solid. That's up there. That's borderline elite. That's borderline Jahmyr Gibbs. And then the spike weeks that come along with that. What's up, Nino? How we doing? Frizzle. Who Hames says, Peyton Willis Would have tracked Bill down there. Anyways, bedtime now. Peace. Hey, later, Who Hames. Thanks for stopping in, my man. Have a great night. Catch you later, my friend. If y'all don't know, and all of you guys already know, but Hartman and Who Hames and I, we all stream fantasy football content. We're all kind of we're all running in the same circle, and we're doing a weekly stream together on Wednesday nights. We're going to rotate channels. We're fortunate to have it on my channel this Wednesday. We're going to rotate and do it on Hartman's and Who Hames channels the following 2 Wednesdays, and we'll circle back here another Wednesday. But very sharp guys, and make sure you're subscribed to Who Hames channel. Make sure you're subscribed to Hartman's channel on YouTube for some great fantasy content. Nino says only wide receivers are Jacoby Myers, Stephon Diggs, Alec Ayomanor. Would you consider sending Alec for a Troy Franklin plus Malik Washington? Yeah, I would consider that. Before I get too far ahead of myself, I'd have to look into it a little bit more because I've been hearing a lot of good things about Alec Ayomanor, but I don't own him in any of my leagues. I'm not like actively reviewing how he's been doing. I know he's the new X, the new alpha. He's running like every route. But yeah, actually, Cam Ward looks terrible, right? So honestly, terrible start to a career. Couldn't be worse. So if you can get a 2-for-1 to get Troy Franklin and Malik Washington, I put out a short today, and it was something that I mentioned last night on stream, but I think Malik Washington going forward is actually a very fun piece for fantasy. I think he's got a nice overall profile. Not only get some rushing upside, he gets some rushing attempts, but he should see a little bit more targets with Tyreek out and just more usage, even though I think most of those targets are going to go to Achane and Waddle. But Malik Washington's pretty fun, and then Troy Franklin can have big weeks. How do you know when to start Troy Franklin? I don't know, but I think I would consider that because you go from Alec Ayomanor being your only breakout guy. Now you have 2 guys with Troy Franklin and Malik Washington. So you're kind of getting 2 shots at having a guy who you want to, flex every week. Mike is saying, who is going to bed with the sweet, dulcet tones of BBG? Maybe a new avenue to get more subscribers. Incredible. Yo, what's up? Joe Sway, what's up, my friend? Frizzle, would you start Michael Carter over Chase Brown? Damn, here we are. Here we are, aren't we? Michael Carter over Chase Brown. So let me show you Chase Brown. Let's scroll down pretty far. Farther than you would expect. Chase Brown is the only player worse than Tony Pollard or Alvin Kamara that you probably recognize. He's averaging 0.47 fantasy points per touch, literally the lowest among all of the running backs I have charted. He's had 68 attempts, 68 touches, and he's done nothing with it. He only has 32 fantasy points, 1 touchdown. His highest scoring week was 12. He's averaging 8 fantasy points a week. He is a must bench player, unfortunately, unless you just know ball and you're reading the crystal ball and you say, okay, this is the Chase Brown bounce back week. I don't see it. I don't think so. We don't know Michael Carter's role yet, but let's just hope it's better. If we modeled Michael Carter after what James Conner was doing, James Conner had about 0.73 fantasy points per touch. His high scoring week was about 12 points. He was averaging about 9.8. Small sample size. What if we look at Trey Benson? Trey Benson was averaging 0.69 fantasy points per game or per touch. His high scoring week was the 8 fantasy points. Not very convincing. DeMercado's touched the ball 4 times, so that touchdown really inflates his numbers. You can't go off that. So if we were to model it after something between James Conner and Trey Benson, I would predict about 0.7 fantasy points per touch. If he gets 10 touches, you'll get 7 fantasy points. If he gets 15 touches, maybe you get 10.5. But with Chase Brown, You'd really have to get lucky that not only, I mean, he's going to have to score a touchdown. So it's just which guy scores a touchdown. Michael Carter going up against a bad Titans defense that was just taken advantage of by Nick Chubb and Woody Marks, or Chase Brown going up against the Lions defense, which it's decent, right? So I don't know. This is tough. I'm probably going Michael Carter for the mystery box. Yo, what's up, Jeffrey? How we doing, my man? RJ says he did the trade for Judkins for Dobbins, Jameson Williams, and Ricky. I hope you feel good about it. It's tough to get rid of a fun player like Judkins, but I think getting 3 players for one. You know, what if a week from now Judkins is sitting out for a week, just like Bucky Irving with an ankle or something? So you're avoiding some risk here too by getting those 3 players. At the same time, Ricky Pearsall is currently out, but you know what I'm saying. Josue says he's got Lamar and CD and Evans out. Oh, tough break, man. That's rough. Yeah, Brock Bowers out tomorrow. Not looking good. Need to pick up a tight end. Is DJ Moore droppable? No. I would not drop DJ Moore. You got a lot of injuries. If you don't have IR spots, this is tough. But I can't see dropping DJ Moore. The Bears have been rocking. Caleb Williams breaking out. You want pieces of that offense. DJ Moore had a touchdown last week. I think it was last week or two. Tommy Tremble is a good start. I would start Tommy Tremble this week. He's probably a better start than Darren Waller. But I can't drop DJ Moore. Who else can you drop is the question. Jeffrey says, single QB league, a guy had Lamar in May and just traded Lamar for Waddle. His wide receivers are bad, but did he ruin our league? I don't think he ruined your league. I think to me, it's a bad trade. I would not give up Lamar for Waddle. But here's the thing. You can understand where he's coming from. His wide receivers are bad. Tyreek Hill's out for the season. Waddle's going to be the alpha in that offense. It goes through Achane as the engine, but Waddle's going to have more targets than he knows what to do with. Tua's pretty competent. He's pretty underrated. So you can make a case that Waddle is a wide receiver 2 going forward. Lamar being injured right now, we don't know how long it's going to last. Maybe he's back next week, but Drake May's putting up some numbers. So I think it's fine. Single quarterback, I think it's fine. If it was super flex, I'd be really worried. Yeah, the scroll down. I had to go find Chase Brown. He's right next to Isaiah Pacheco, who we've also mentioned just sucks. Zach Charbonnet, unfortunately. I mean, Dowdle's pretty far down here too, actually. People are hyped up on Dowdle this week, and I'm a little bit excited too. I know JJ Zacharyson was talking on his pod yesterday. He's really excited about Rico Dowdle. He called him I think he said RB. I think he said it like R Bowdle 1, like RB1. But you know, I'm not super excited. I am starting Rico Dowdle in some dynasty leagues that Bindles and I co-manage. He's only had 0.57 fantasy points per touch. He's only had 33 touches, but 1 touchdown, you know, highest scoring week so far, 10 points. Not a lot to get excited about there. The upside could just be he gets, you know, 20 touches and he does a little bit better than what he's been averaging. Maybe he puts up 0.7 fantasy points per touch. He gives you 14 points. So he's flexible, but Dowdle this week, I'm not like incredibly excited about that. Yeah, the end of the list here gets pretty sad. There's some guys who just haven't touched the ball enough, but could be good. Like, you know, Antonio Gibson, Emmanuel Wilson, Blake Corum, Travion Henderson, Ollie Gordon. We just need to see more opportunities for them. Jerome Ford looking pretty bad. That's a big miss by me. I drafted a lot of Jerome Ford this season, unfortunately. Tyrone Tracy was awful in his opportunities, so good riddance. And then Eckler was looking not good before he got injured. But that's kind of the way to frame it. And then like guys who've touched the ball the most, McCaffrey touched the ball the most, but he's only averaging 0.81 fantasy points per touch. So that's like should be a something we think about, keep in mind. Like, are they above or below a point 0.8? Are they above or below a point 0.7? Those are kind of, or they around it. Like Bucky Irving is a point 0.69. He's right around a point 0.7. I think once you start to go far below the point 0.7, it's a little risky. They're very volume dependent at that point. When you have guys that are in this point 0.8 plus range, they can be huge hits. So that's like a Ken Walker, point 0.8. Give him 20 touches, you'll get 16 fantasy points. Sounds good to me on average. There'll be some spike weeks for sure. Smitty, what's up, my friend? Jeff says, would you start Mason or take a chance on Franklin or Washington? And do you think that Taysom Hill has any value rest of season? Yeah, Taysom Hill definitely has value rest of season. The last time he played a full game, he put up 40 fantasy points. I like Taysom Hill. If you are dying at tight end, then I'd pick him up, have some fun. But I would start Jordan Mason over Franklin in Washington this week, even though he has the stone cold dead last worst matchup. Jordan Mason, he's averaging about 0.73 fantasy points per touch. So he's a little volume dependent, but he's getting the volume and he's fine. He's good. Only 2 touchdowns. We got to see that go up. He had a game with 23.6 fantasy points. It was a better matchup for him than what we're seeing against the Browns, obviously, but he's at least averaging 11 points per game. I think he's a fine start this week, unless you have so many better options. We're just kind of hoping for a touchdown or maybe he breaks one big run. But this is an elite, super elite, tier of their own Browns run stop defense. Don't get it mistaken. But I just think Franklin and Washington's kind of a tier too far the other direction, fringe kind of flex plays. Josue says his bench is Lamar, Charbonnet. I don't love Charbonnet. I was kind of just talking about it. Mike Evans, we need him back. DJ Moore and CD. I have Walker, so that's why I have Charbonnet. Okay. I would drop Charbonnet and just fingers crossed that Ken Walker doesn't get injured, because Charbonnet is only valuable if Ken Walker gets injured. And if Ken Walker gets injured, you maybe have to waiver or spend a lot of fab to get Charbonnet back. But Charbonnet, to me, has no standalone value anymore. DJ Moore has a ton of standalone value. You don't need anyone to get hurt to flex DJ Moore. Schmitty says Marks or White. I'm 100% in on Woody Marks this week. I think Rachaad White can be fine. It's a pretty tough matchup, actually. The Seattle Seahawks, they have not given up a rushing touchdown this season. So it's actually a really tough matchup for Rachaad White. Give me Woody Marks with the number one best matchup against the Baltimore Ravens, giving up the most adjusted points allowed to the running back position. And they don't have Lamar Jackson. So if Cooper Rush can't get ahead of this tough Texans defense, which he probably should not be able to, the Texans are going to be playing with the lead. They should run the ball out. We saw what happened when they had a lead and they ran the ball out in the second quarter against the Titans last week. Woody Marks pops off, has a 26-point fantasy week. Now everyone knows his name. And he's in the thumbnail today, so got to go Marks. Must start Marks this week. How we doing, Eddie? Good to see my man. We got Louisville in here. We got David and Ella. How we doing, friends? We got Tyler in here. What's up, brother? Happy Saturday. Hope you're doing good. Besides hating on my Longhorns, you son of a bitch. Don't talk shit about Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning around me. I'm going to turn notifications off on your Twitter for a while. I need to cool off on that. I'm tilted. Okay. Lost my mind for a minute there. Let me chug some of this Guinness. All right, I'm back. Eddie says, for flex, would you start Jordan Mason, Chase Brown, Travion Henderson, or Darren Waller? Thanks. That's kind of fun. I mean, to think that you might go Darren Waller is pretty interesting. Let's roll the dice. Let's go Travion Henderson against the Bills' run funnel defense. I keep saying it, but like the Bills allow opposing offenses to run for like 160 yards on average per game against them, I think was the number. I mean, we can check it here. I have the data right here. The Bills, scroll over. I had this data for the primetime Palooza slates. The Bills are allowing 164 rushing yards per game to be rushed against them. They're only allowing 125 passing yards per game. So you couldn't have a better matchup for running backs. We've seen Travion going this direction and Ramondre Stevenson going this direction with their usage. So maybe we get another Travion Henderson touchdown and maybe he gets more touches this week. I say you roll the dice and go Travion Henderson. My next choice would be Jordan Mason, but he has such a tough matchup against the Browns. And I don't want to start Chase Brown. I think Chase Brown's like a must bench player. Darren Waller, it probably last though, because I don't want to start a tight end if I don't have to. But I mean, the dude's Waller the baller is back. Yeah, sleeper Rico Dowdle, only about 40% roster, sneaky matchups, Finns, kind of a heavy workload. That is true though. This is true. I mean, Chris has a really good point here about the running back matchup for the Panthers against Miami this week. It's a decent matchup. It's a decent matchup for sure. So there's that in favor of Dowdle. And people have a lot of flex players injured on bye, so I think Dowdle's definitely flexible this week. Just he's kind of had a bad fantasy performance so far this year, but now should have the most opportunity. So let's see if he can take advantage of it. Frizzle wants to know, I have to drop Jawan to pick up Michael Carter. Someone dropped Carter for Rico Dowdle. Carter waiver clears tomorrow. Should you do it? I don't really want to drop Jawan Johnson. What other tight ends do you have available? Like that we could do. Yo, what up, Quincy Davis? My man, appreciate you. Thanks so much for the super chat. Hope you're having a great Saturday night, my friend. Thanks for stopping in. Also, say what up to Levi and what up to Hans. Quincy wants to know, would you drop Isaiah Davis or DeMercado, Sean Tucker, or Bill for Taysom Hill? This is a great question. There's a lot of excitement around Taysom Hill. The last time we saw Taysom Hill play, he put up 40 fantasy points. I personally, I mean, if you've got this deep of a bench, this is your redraft? Let me know with a follow-up question. This is your redraft league. You've got Isaiah Davis and DeMercado and Sean Tucker and Bill Krosky-Merritt all on your bench in your redraft. I mean, you got some nice contingent running back plays. They've all become relevant kind of recently. Maybe you're very deep benches. I'm not going to drop Bill. One thing I want to show you here. So, Quincy, this is my running back data. It's just the first 4 weeks combined together. But if we go down to Bill Krosky-Merritt right here, you can see me highlighting him here. This number here, this 1.01, he's averaging 1.01 fantasy points per touch. That's like super elite territory. He only has 32 touches, so the sample size is a little bit small. But let's compare that to a guy like, Woody Marks. Woody Marks is at 1.11 fantasy points per touch. He also only has 32 touches. So Bill Krosky-Merritt, not so far off from Woody Marks. We just need to see more usage for him. So if Bill Krosky-Merritt can get 20 touches in a game like Woody Marks had last week, he could put up some huge numbers. He's in an even better offense with Jaden Daniels, the Commanders, the high-powered offense. The offensive line's very good. We saw Terry McLaurin have a career year in touchdowns playing with Jaden Daniels last season. I think Bill is primed to be a second half breakout player that we're excited about. So I would like Bill for me is like, you can't drop him and you want him on your team. Sean Tucker, I think you could drop Sean Tucker for Taysom Hill if you really need help at tight end. Sean Tucker is going to be really hard to know when to start. The coaching staff, they constantly are expressing faith in Rachaad White. Like, even before Bucky Irving went down, anytime we heard Todd Bowles talking about Rachaad White, they love him. Josh Grizzard, the offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers, big fan about Rachaad White. He's fired up for Rachaad White. And so they've got faith in Rachaad White. He's going to get most of the opportunity. I think Sean Tucker is a big play waiting to happen. But how are we going to be able to predict when that's going to happen? There was one game last year we could have used Sean Tucker, and if he started him any week outside of that one game, it didn't help. So DeMercado and Isaiah Davis. Isaiah Davis has the contingent value. DeMercado, I think we'll see what his role is going forward. I don't know if it's more of the Michael Carter show or the DeMercado show. Maybe neither of them matter. But I think Sean Tucker's the one I drop for Taysom Hill. And thanks again, my man, for the super chat. Hope you're having a great Saturday and getting ready for a fun week 5 slate. Let me know though, is this your redraft or is this your like dynasty? Because if it's, I think my answer is still the same though. It must be redraft. You would never consider dropping Bill Krosky Merritt in dynasty, so I think it's definitely redraft, right? Say what up to D2 Pac-Man. What's up? We got Lloyd Gaming in here. Jason, my friend, what's up? Thanks again, Quincy. Shout out. Let's scroll back up, catch up with you guys. So I was just telling Frizz, don't want to really drop Juwan Johnson, but let me know what other tight ends you got. RJ was saying, one more question before I go. Should I start Daniels or Fields? That's tough. Probably want to go Fields against the Dallas defense that people take advantage of. It's a top 5 matchup this week for QBs, and Fields has that rushing floor. We saw it last week against the Dolphins. You want that. I'm going to lean Fields, but obviously Daniel Jones has had some nice weeks too. I think let's go Fields though. Louisville, got to drop one in PPR. Charbonnet or Tootin? I have ETN. Bro, drop Charbonnet, keep Tootin. I'm excited about Tootin. I released a short on Tootin today. I talked about him last night on stream. Bashal Tootin, he's averaging 1 point. It'd help if I scroll down so you can see him. Bashal Tootin right here, he's averaging 1.1 fantasy points per touch. That is elite territory. Yes, a small sample size, 24 touches, but if that touch volume goes up, he could be the next Woody Marks waiting to happen. He's on a good offense. They're scoring a lot of points, a good offensive line. We need Trevor Lawrence to play a little bit better, but that's obvious. Travis Etienne, you got him on your team too. He's doing very good, right? He's averaging 0.9 fantasy points per touch. So there's a lot of correlation between the fantasy points per touch among running backs in the same backfield. So worst case scenario, a larger sample size, we would expect the fantasy points per touch for Tootin to maybe come down a little bit. But if it only comes down to 0.9 and he's getting 10 to 12 touches per game, 10, 11 fantasy points per game, not bad, with spike weeks that could be much higher than that, kind of like what Etienne's doing. Etienne's actually averaging 16 fantasy points per game because he's been touching the ball, he's been touching the ball like 15 to 17 times per game. And I think Tootin is a guy I don't want to drop. I want to save. Charbonnet, on the other hand, Charbonnet is only averaging 0.53 fantasy points per touch. And he's so contingent. He has no standalone value. He's so contingent on Ken Walker getting hurt. I think Tootin he's already gotten 2 touchdowns as well. Tootin, I think he can carve out a standalone role, even with Etienne healthy. But it would be nice if Tootin could out touch Etienne. I think we would see a lot better results out of Tootin. That's kind of the dream scenario for the second half of the season. Make sure you guys slap that like button. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter at FFB Garage so you know I'm going live. Turn on the bell for the notifications on YouTube. Vote in the poll, and then let me know in the chat what you got going on. Is it a sit-start question for like a QB or tight end, one of the onesies, or is it more of a flex start question you have? And thanks for being here. Hope you guys are having a great Saturday night. Let's get right back into these questions with David and Ella. Javonte Williams and George Pickens for Saquon Barkley. Is that a fair trade or too much? That's too much. Pains me to say it. I'm not giving up Javonte Williams and George Pickens for Saquon Barkley in what's going on today. We're seeing the end of Barkley's heyday. He had 400 touches last year. People have been saying that's too much. The next year, the players regress as much as 50 or 60% to what they were scoring the year before. That's a hell of a lot of a drop off. Let's dive into the numbers. And then also, damn, Quincy following up. Sorry, I missed this. I don't know why I didn't pop up super quick. I have McBride for my tight end. Okay, sick. McBride is obviously a great tight end. In that case, when are you really going to honestly want to flex Taysom Hill? Maybe just hold on to Sean Tucker because of the what if we find out after this week actually they're putting Bucky Irving on IR and he's not going to play for a little bit. Then Sean Tucker becomes more and more interesting. He's a Rachaad White injury away from being super relevant. And it seems like a long shot, but we've seen weirder things happen. We just saw James Conner and Trey Benson go down the exact same way. I don't know when you're ever going to feel confident about starting Taysom Hill, and definitely not over Trey McBride. Trey McBride has the bye in week 8, so you could plan ahead for Trey McBride's bye week with Taysom Hill. That's kind of an interesting strategy. That's possible. Another super chat from my friend Sam. What's up, Sam? Hope you're having a great Saturday night. Thanks for stopping by. Quincy said it is Dynasty. Okay. That makes it different too. If you have a lot of, I kind of figured it was Dynasty because you're listing out so many contingent players with your bench. I kind of feel like if you have other tight ends that can cover for McBride's bye week, just roll with McBride and those guys, and probably don't worry too much about Taysom Hill. His dynasty value is it's not super high. It's fine. It's, he's coming off the injury. He's older. Juwan Johnson's been sick for them. Good. I would say, but if you feel like you do need to cover that bye week, maybe still Sean Tucker probably has the lowest dynasty value there. Sam, how we doing, my friend? Thanks again for the super chat, Quincy. And thanks for the super chat, Sam. Sam wants to know, or he wants to say he traded Juwan Johnson and Sutton for Laporta and Pickens. Damn, you got a big upgrade there. I love it. Sell high on Juwan Johnson. Sell high on Courtland Sutton. Just get move them. I'm so interested in Pickens. Pickens is one of my most drafted players. I was taking him all summer. I've got bags of Pickens. I've got bags of CeeDee Lamb too. Rip. I want him to come back as well. But Pickens going off insane with CeeDee Lamb out. And we expected him to do it kind of with CeeDee Lamb. So I think he can still hold it up when CeeDee Lamb comes back. The chemistry is building with Dak. Laporta, love it. You want a piece of that Lions offense. So, yeah, this is sick. I still like Juwan Johnson and Sutton just fine, but Laporta, Pickens, can't argue there. You definitely won this trade. Love to see it. Yo, Caleb, what's up, my friend? How we doing? What's up, Sam? GK, Icy, Lucio. How you guys doing? Hope you're having a great Saturday night. So David and Ella, don't mean to leave you hanging there. The thing I'll say about Javonte and Saquon, Saquon, let's pull him up here in the data real quick. Javonte, we know he's averaging 0.87 fantasy points per touch, and he's getting a ton of touches, 79 touches, right? We have to scroll down a little bit to get to Saquon. It's sad because here's my data from last year. And then, yeah, sorry, bright mode hurts the eyes. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let me scroll, let me condense, let me get rid of these columns. Let me hide these ones, and then we pinch these one in a little bit. This is the data I was using before the season started to draft all my teams. This was Saquon Barkley last year. 47% of his games he played in, he was averaging across 3 consecutive games more than 20 points. So essentially half of any given 3-game stretch last year, half of those Saquon Barkley was averaging 20 points or more in fantasy. So he was the definition of elite last year. Pains me to say it. This year, Saquon Barkley is down on the list. He's not even in my top 20. He's averaging 13.9 fantasy points per week. His highest scoring week is 16.4. That's lower than guys like RJ Harvey with the highest performance. The average is lower than guys like Bucky Irving or, Quinshon Judkins. He's only averaging 0.61 fantasy points per touch. One of the things I was saying, guys who are below the 0.7 to 0.75 are more volume dependent generally. He's well below the 0.7. He's 0.61. He's had 91 touches. They couldn't give him hardly any more touches. At least he has 3 touchdowns, and even that's not enough to keep him going. He has not been an RB1 on any given week. He's never scored 17 points this season to hit my scoring threshold. I don't know what has to change. Maybe he has to have more big breakaway runs for this to get better, but I can't give up Javonte and George Pickens for Saquon right now in fantasy. Maybe you want to hope that he can revert to what he did last year, but through 4 games this year has not shown it. It could be the matchups. Maybe he's had some tough matchups. You could dig into that a little bit, but it's crazy what's going on. Levi says Egbuka or Chase. This is wild, but I kind of want to start Egbuka. I think, damn, it's tough. It's going to be hard to know when to start Chase. The floor has just fallen out, right? So, Hands, how we doing, brother? Who's the better stash between Brashard Smith and Kendre Miller? I personally think, Sam with another one. Thank you, bro. Hey, appreciate it. Thanks again for the super chats. Thanks for being here. Super chats, always appreciated, never required, but thank you for supporting the channel. And thank you all for the great vibes as well. We're having a lot of good conversation tonight in the chat. We got Sam in here, Jason, Vishace. We got Kenzo, Levi with the thanks. Hey, I appreciate you too. Thanks again, Sam, very much. We're having fun tonight. We're just talking ball, talking about week 5, getting into it, diving into the data. I went to the beach today. I've had a great weekend. I just got back from the beach. My family's still there. So we rented a big beach house with my wife's side of the family. All the aunties and uncles and the cousins and babies are all at the beach house still. Me and the dog, we drove back into town. We're hanging out at the house tonight. We're going to watch football tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe we might go back to the beach tomorrow. It's not too far to do it in a day trip. But I went for the day here, and they got a full house. So I'd rather sleep in my own bed, not have to hear 5 different babies crying. I hear my own babies crying, some nights. My kids are actually pretty good sleepers, but had a great weekend. Hope you guys are having a fun weekend too. Touching a little grass, touching a little sand, as they say, getting out of the house a bit. Weather should be getting nice across the country for pretty much everyone. I think, I'm here in Houston. We just saw the temperatures go from the low 90s on average to we're kind of in like the high 80s right now. Still working towards those low 80s, but the mornings are fine. Mid to low 70s in the mornings for about an hour or two. So can't complain. It's all relative. Thanks again for the super chats. I'm gonna try to catch up with y'all's questions as best that I can and get down to these new ones too. I'm excited to talk about what's going on. Hans says, who is better stash between Brashard Smith and Kendre Miller? I think it could be Kendre Miller. It could also be Brashard Smith. Kendre Miller, they're pretty excited about him. The coaches are. They're finally starting to use him more, and Kamara's looking bad. So would it be the weirdest thing if Kendre Miller was out touching Alvin Kamara second half of the season? I think it's very possible, actually. Brashard Smith, I think it's always going to be a 3-headed monster with the Kansas City backfield. So I'm excited about Brashard Smith. I just don't know what his touch ceiling could be. I think Kendre Miller could be a little bit higher. Smitty says, shout out to your Longhorn, hook 'em horns, Alfred. LOL, go Niners. Oh, Alfred Collins. Yeah, Alfred Collins. Yeah, Alfred Collins is a fucking beast. I mean, you saw what he did punching that ball out, stopping Kyron on that play. Pretty sick. Shout out to the Horns. I thought you were being facetious for a second there. I thought you were being a smartass, and because the Horns lost today, but no, Smitty's a nice guy. He would never talk shit about the Horns, unlike Tyler here, who loves to dunk on the Horns. Yeah, Crispy. Hope you're having a good night, Crispy. D2 Pac-Man says, do we start Stroud or Darnold this week? I think it could be a decent spot for Stroud. Let's go Stroud this week. Darnold's been slinging the rock, though, but let's see if we get a get-right game from Nico Collins and Stroud. Get that connection going. Lloyd Gaming says, yo, my depth is weird right now. Suggestions on any trades I could make. RBs are Kamara, H.N. Benson, Tootin, Harvey, Rashard Smith, Kendre, wide receivers, Jefferson, Pittman, Diggs, Christian Kirk. Yeah, you got to do something about those wide receivers. You need one more solid wide receiver. I think Jefferson, Pittman, Diggs is fine, but I would like it better if Pittman and Diggs were your wide receiver 3 and 4, not your wide receiver 2 and 3. Christian Kirk, I'm not super excited about, but we could see some decent flex-worthy stretches, maybe. You've got such good running backs. I would try to move off of, I don't know. Obviously, Benson's going to be out for a while. If anyone will pay you anything for Benson, I would move him first off. Second off, I love Tootin and Harvey. I want to hold those guys. If you can get anyone excited about Kendre Miller or Brashard Smith, move off of those. But none of those guys are really going to get you anything worth of a starting wide receiver. So this is tough. If you can sell on Benson, and no one's going to want him because he's injured, damn, I don't know. Maybe you could afford to get rid of one of Tootin or Harvey, but you got to find someone who really appreciates them. So it could be a sell on Harvey if you can find the right person who really wants him. And then combo with maybe Harvey plus, I don't know. It's tough. I don't want to give up CMC or HN, so you don't really have a lot to go with there. If you could combo Harvey plus Benson and get a receiver that you feel like can compete with Pittman and Diggs for a starting spot on your lineup, I would do that. Oh, and 2 flex. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, you might need a little bit of help at wide receiver. We'll have to figure out how we can do that. Jason says, what tight end to start this week, rest of season? Ertz, Njoku, Mason Taylor, Gottfield, Theo Johnson. Start Ertz. He's had a touchdown in every game he's played with Jade Daniels this season. Let's go Ertz and Ertz rest of season. And then Jason wants to know, start 2, Rashad White, Wando Robinson, Shakir, or Rico Dowdle. I think it could be a spot start, a good time for Rico Dowdle. And then I like Shakir against the Patriots too. Wandale's kind of fun. Rashad White, I think, is hard to ignore. It's a bad matchup, though, against the Seahawks. They haven't allowed a rushing touchdown. Most confident for me is going to be Shakir and Rico, but it's close between, I think, Rico and White. And I like Wandale too, but it's kind of tricky. Start 2, White, Rico, or Javonte Williams. Definitely give me Javonte Williams, and then I'm going to do a slight lean to Rico over White. Yo, Sam, bro, with a $20 dono. Appreciate you, my man. Dang. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you for the donation. I hope you find my advice helpful. Trying my best. Thanks for supporting the channel, my man. Huge. Love to see it. My new best friend, Sam. Sam wants to know, what do I think of his team? All right, let's get right into it. And so is this redraft? Is it dynasty? Full point, half point? How many people are in the league? Follow up with some more details on me with me, Sam. Let's nail this one down. But let's get into it. Caleb Williams, freaking love it, right? I was not the biggest Caleb Williams believer going into this season, but they upgraded the offensive line. They upgraded the offensive coordinator with Ben Johnson. Wheels up for the Bears in their fantasy pieces. Can Luther Burden get in on the fun? We saw Luther Burden break out in week 3. I want Luther Burden to get more active, but Roma Dunze has been the star of the show and the breakout. DeAndre Swift kind of sucks. What's going to happen there? They're going to have to pass the ball a lot. Achane, love it. Gibbs. Okay, Gibbs is my favorite player in fantasy. Essentially can't get better than that. What up, Splash Zone? What up, Caleb? Quincy again, and then Melp. I'll catch up with y'all in a second. Gibbs, like my favorite player in fantasy. Last year, when David Montgomery missed some time, Gibbs was essentially averaging 30 fantasy points per game, like peak Christian McCaffrey type stuff. So if Montgomery for some reason goes down, Gibbs is by far and away the most likely player to be the number 1 fantasy asset. And obviously he's got tons of standalone value otherwise. London, I'm a big fan of. I like Michael Penix Jr. I think he can throw a really nice deep ball. He's going to have some ups and downs. He's getting his feet under him. He's, a new starter in the league, but London, the primary target there. Egbuka, enough said. Freaking love Egbuka. One of my most drafted players all offseason. Super fun offense. Baker Mayfield's a dog. So Egbuka is their primary target right now, especially with Mike Evans out, Godwin ramping up, Jalen McMillan out for a while, the IR. Laporta is a freaking beast. Love it. Pickens, you have Pickens in your lineup too. Pickens is one of the other players. My most drafted players this offseason, wide receivers, it was like Pickens, Egbuka. Who else was up there? Those are two of my favorites. So you got to, this is like my dream team, essentially. I'm not just saying that. I literally love all of these players. I can't imagine who's on your bench. You have Rashee Rice on your bench. Me and Hartman have been saying this, and Huhames too. We've been saying this all year since his suspension. When Rashee Rice gets back from his suspension, he's going to be a top 3 wide receiver in the league. Worst case scenario, he's top 10. Week in, week out. So Kendre Miller is fine. Tajay Spears is fine. Jaden Blue, I love him. Hook 'em horns. We'll see if he takes advantage of the opportunity this week. Taysom Hill is exciting just because of what he can do, but coming off the big injury. DeMercado is fine. Shaheed, I like. Brashard Smith is fun. Charbonnet, I don't love. Corum, just fine. I'm actually more of a Jarquez Hunter guy. Jackson Dart, insanely good. This must be Dynasty, right, my man? This must be a Dynasty team, just how deep it is and all these quality players you got. What should I trade? Thank you, bro. Hey, thank you, bro. Thanks again for supporting the channel. I don't know. If you can find someone who wants Charbonnet, get rid of Charbonnet. If you can find, and I don't know what you would even upgrade. Your starting roster is insane. Maybe get some more QB depth. If this is Dynasty, if it's just redraft, let the good times roll. I don't think you really need to trade anything. But if this is Dynasty, like I think it is, maybe give yourself one more tight end depth piece or one more quarterback depth piece to give you some resiliency against injuries at the onesies. And I would trade like a Corum or Charbonnet as much as you can get for those guys, or you could even move Shaheed. It's 12-man PPR, LOL. It's $1,200 pot. Okay, so it's redraft. Dude, you're going to win this league. How did they let you draft this team in a redraft in a 12-man? You have to be and shout out to Eric with the dono as well. Eric Osterberg. Hope you're having a great night, man. Thank you so much. I'm going to jump into your question real quick in 1 sec. I'll just finish following up with Sam. Samuel, this is insane. I mean, you're going to win this league. You're going to take home a lot of this money. I'm excited for you. How did they let you draft this team? It was a snake draft, or was it an auction? I mean, this looks like an auction team where you just completely took advantage of everyone. If it's a snake draft, I guess you went Gibbs, Achane, London with your start. This could be a snake draft. If it's single quarterback, you got Caleb, you got Dart. You might consider, Caleb's out right now. You're starting Dart this week. You're kind of already past your bye week. I think it'll be fine. You might consider getting some depth at tight end for more resiliency. If you only have Taysom and Laporta, see if you can. And we don't even know what Taysom is yet. Laporta's going to be on bye in week 8. See if you can pair 2 guys together on your bench that have names that people like. Charbonnet is one of those guys. And try to get one more tight end that's useful is what I would do. Yeah, 12-man PPR, you're going to win this league. You must be, with that team so far, you've avoided a lot of injuries. You've got to be either 3-1 or 4-0, I have to imagine. You have T-Mac too. I don't think I even mentioned T-Mac. T-Mac's one of my other highly drafted players. I love Tedaroy McMillan. In fact, let's roll the T-Mac clip. Man, that gets me hyped every time. He can do it all. He can run every route. He can win at every level. The yards after catch, the deep balls, catching in the end zone. sending you into the shadow realm, catching it one-handed and throwing that UCF defender down 6 feet under. Baller, T-Mac. Love it. Thanks again, Sam, for your donos. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for being here. Hope you're having a great Saturday, my man. Come back anytime. Love your team. You're going to win that league. I can already tell. Eric, my man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the kind words. Hope you're having a great Saturday. All right, chat. He needs to pick 2. And these are the typical options we've been seeing. Everyone's super curious about what to do, right? DeMercado has been a hot pickup, a waiver wire ad this week. We got Bill. I mean, if you don't already know, everyone's going to know and be saying his name by the end of the season. By the second half of the season, we're all going to be saying, Bill, Bill. I'm super excited about Bill. He's averaging 1.01 fantasy points per touch. He's in rare air, as they say. So let's go with Bill this week with Jaden Daniels back. DeMercado, I'm not sure. Mason Taylor, Zach Ertz, half PPR. You know, Zach Ertz, Bill for a little commander stack. That could be kind of fun. But honestly, and Zach Ertz has a touchdown in every game he's played with Jaden Daniels this season. I'm not taking Mason Taylor. I can't start a tight end in good faith in a flex, especially in half point. Let's go DeMercado and Bill. Let's hope the Cardinals can trounce the lowly Titans like the Texans did, make DeMercado look good. Even if he's splitting the work with Michael Carter, we just saw DeMercado have a touchdown, and it was only 4 touches, but it was almost flex worthy in week 4. So if DeMercado can get 8 to 12 touches, I think, and that's kind of what I'm expecting, he can pay off all right as a flex. We want Bill to also get 12 plus touches and pay off as a low end RB2, high end RB3 flex consideration. DeMercado high end, if he gets 15 touches, maybe he actually puts up 15 points kind of thing. I'd be surprised though. Thank you so much for the question. Hope you're yeah, I mean, you probably have some injuries if those are the guys you're starting to flex. So I hope you can get a W this week, Eric. Oh, it's Sam with the super sticker. Insane. Love it. Thanks for all the donos. What a guy. What a nice guy. Appreciate that. I think that's the first or second super sticker ever on the channel. Legendary. Come back anytime, my man. Any question you got, I'm all ears. I'm having a fun night. I mean, like I said, I was at the beach earlier today. I got some sun. The wife and the kids are at the beach house with the in-laws and the aunties and the uncles and the other cousins. So they're all doing it all. I was there all day. I came back here with the dog so we could get some nice rest, have a bed. Honestly, there's a big beach house, but there's like 12. There's 10 adults there and plus a bunch of kids. So there's limited sleeping space. I'd rather sleep at home in my own bed than on a couch with a bunch of screaming babies. There's a newborn too. We have a 3-week-old baby in the house. So there's a lot going on there. But hope you guys are having a fun weekend and looking forward to a fun week 5, watching some college football today. Hey, Quincy, another super chat. Thank you so much, my man. Very much appreciated. Quincy with another question. Let's get right into it. I see Splashstone in here. We got Caleb. Ezekiel Ruiz. How we doing, brother? Promise I will catch up to everyone's question. Sorry if it takes me a little bit. We've had a lot of great questions. But if you stick around, I promise I'll get through everyone's question at some point. And thank you all for being here this Saturday. Thanks for being sub to the channel. We're having fun. This is the Fantasy Football Garage. This is what we do. We draft football teams all summer long. Hundreds, maybe even thousands of football teams. Depends who's listening. Depends who wants to know. We were in dynasty leagues. We did a dynasty startup in the end of July. We did high stakes redraft leagues on the FFPC. hundreds, maybe even thousands of best ball teams. Who's counting? We do the dailies. We talk, sometimes we talk bets. Sometimes we talk DFS, but we got it all going on. Fantasy football, anything you could want. So all we're doing here is talking ball, having fun, good vibes, positive energy, trying to learn something new every day, getting better every day. So if you're into that, you found the right place. Come on in. Make sure you're sub. Smash that like button. Vote in the poll. I'm going to close the poll in like 2 minutes. You guys have been answering in the chat with is it, like I said, is it a onesie? Is it a flex? You have a sit start question on. But thanks for being here. Let's have a great Saturday. Let's have a fun Sunday tomorrow. I'm excited for this slate. I really am. And having a London game on Sunday, so nice. Wake up early, walk the dog, drink some coffee, hit the gym, and listening to a London game. Get home, kick the feet up, chores, yard work, whatever. Listening to the London game, and then boom, it's noon. We watch all the games. Red zone time. Quincy, without further ado, what's up, my man? Start one in flex in a PPR. We got Keenan Allen, ETN, Jordan Mason, Olave. Also have Tet Arroyo McMillions, but starting him as my RB2 with Jamar Chase. Okay, bro. This sounds crazy, but I would start Keenan Allen and Tet Arroyo McMillan over Jamar Chase. I'd start them both over Jamar Chase. Tet Arroyo McMillan's had insane usage. He is a breakout waiting to happen. We need to see, him score. But he's had at least 8 catches in every game, I think, or maybe 8 targets in every game. His numbers are insane. He is the guy. Keenan Allen has also been, he had a touchdown streak coming into the season. He's been on a heater. If you would have told me Keenan Allen over Jamar Chase in the year 2025, told me this 3 months ago or even a month ago, I'd be hard for me to believe you, maybe 2 months ago. But I think we're there. Then it comes down to the flex. Do you flex Jamar Chase? Probably. It's close. He said it's PPR. I wouldn't mind it if you flexed Olave or ETN. But I'm going to rank these guys Tet Arroyo McMillan and Keenan Allen. Either one. Keenan Allen has a good matchup, too, against the Giants. Then it's Jamar Chase. ETN just ever so slightly behind Jamar Chase. And Olave is like right there, too. Olave is 3rd in the league in targets right now. ETN has been averaging 16 fantasy points a game and half point. I think he's closer to 17 or 18, probably 18 points a game in PPR. Pretty decent floor for ETN. This is tough. What's up, Nico? How we doing? Caleb. Quincy says, what do you think about just flexing Keenan Allen and sticking with the 3 wide receivers? I don't have the balls to bench Chase. Yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. Yeah, we're in agreement there. Leaning that way. Let's do it. If the floor falls out and Chase does nothing this week against the Lions, we'll have to look at your team and go, you know what? Maybe we should just be starting ETN for the easy layup, high floor production, getting the 16 touches, 17 touches per game output. Or you start to go towards the Olave direction because he also has been balling. We just need to see some touchdowns for Olave. Thanks again for the super chats from everyone, from Quincy, from Sam, from Eric. I appreciate y'all. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Let's jump up here. We dropped off with Jason Ortiz, my man. Pittman, Rico, or Chubb. Start one. I'm going to go probably Pittman, but it could easily be Rico or Chubb too. But let's go Pittman. Sam says, need to start 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, and 1 flex. I've got Chase, Pickens, Igbuka. So let's go with Pickens. I've got Judkins and Scattaboo. Let's go with Judkins. Thinking of sitting Chase, started Adams on Thursday. I gotcha. I honestly want to flex either Egbuka or Scadaboo over Chase. It's tough. I mean, if you're afraid to bench Chase, which I totally understand, I don't want to give you bad advice. I'm trying to do what I think, you know, is actually relevant in real time with what's been happening the last 4 weeks. The injury to Joe Burrow, Jake Browning being pretty underwhelming, and the offensive line for the Bengals being really bad. Tough matchup against the Lions. Obviously, you could flex Jamar Chase, but if you feel like you don't want to, I think both Egbuka and Scadaboo are great options. I definitely want to start Judkins. We just saw what Kenny Gainwell could do against this Vikings defense. He put up 99 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Judkins can do that. Scadaboo's been really fun, but with Dart in there, Neighbors hurt. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. Pickens is a must start, I think, against the Jets. So I'm between Chase and Egbuka and Scadaboo, but it's probably, if I had to rank it straight up, I'm thinking Egbuka and then Chase and then Scadaboo. Yo, D2 Pac-Man. Sorry, I couldn't get to your questions earlier, but I will get right to it now. Thank you for the super chat, man. Hope you're having a great night. Thanks for being here. Thoughts on my 12-man half point per reception team? Let's go. Let's get into it. I mean, Jaden Daniels, you love that guy. I was talking to Ben Gretch. If you guys don't follow Ben Gretch on Twitter, if you're not subscribed to his Substack, Stealing Signals, I highly recommend it. If you're not a listener of the podcast that he does with Sean Siegel of RotoViz, Stealing Bananas, find it on anywhere you can find podcasts. I don't know how, but I've been a fan of Ben Gretch's for a long time. I got to do a show with him. He came on the channel earlier this summer with Bindles and I, and we talked to Gretch, and essentially we all came to the conclusion back in, I think it was the beginning of August. We were all so excited about this Commanders offense. Jaden Daniels, he's a shot to be the MVP this year. Like, the season that he had as a rookie, offensive rookie of the year, total heater. He's the next closest thing to Lamar Jackson we're ever going to get in the near future. He's insanely good. He elevated Terry McLaurin to a career year. We want him to come back healthy. He's got the knee he's dealing with right now, but dude, Jaden Daniels is a stud. Love him. All that to say, Justin Jefferson, fire. Super talented, probably the most talented wide receiver in the league. Just need to get some consistently good quarterback play. Been tough with JJ McCarthy. Pickens, love him. One of my most drafted players. Smash spot. Hopefully he can still hit with CeeDee Lamb back, but he's doing a great job in the meantime. Ken Walker III, I like him. I think he's in a good team, a good offense. The offensive lines look decent for the Seattle Seahawks. Sam Darnold can hold it together. Their defense is good. So, I mean, Ken Walker is not insanely, popping off the page, but we like him. And then, yo, what up, Neil? Oh my gosh. This is all it took to get your sub? Oh, tough on McCarthy, and then we lost him. Easy come, easy go, as they say. Hope you had a great stream, Neil. I'll have to go back and watch and get my final prep in for that London game. I'm excited to see what you're thinking. Thanks for being here, Neil. Hope you're having a great night, man. Genty. Dude, this team is sick. This is Dynasty? It's got to be Dynasty, right? There's no way this is your redraft team. No, it could be Genty and Henry. I guess it could be redraft. Henry, I'm a little bit underwhelmed with what we've been seeing from Derrick Henry. It's tough. The problem is not Derrick Henry. It's the way they're using him. He's averaging 0.91 fantasy points per touch. He's only gotten 53 touches. 53 touches. Quinshon Judkins has 57 touches. He didn't even play week 1. He hardly played in week 2. What's going on in Baltimore? They got to start using Derrick Henry more. It's the game script, I guess. JMO, love him. Big play waiting to happen. Big fan of the Lions offense. You want a piece of the Lions. Love it. Slayton, I'm not crazy about Slayton, but he's going to see his role expand with Neighbors out. Odunze, fire. I mean, I wasn't the biggest Odunze guy coming into this season. I was kind of underwhelmed with him and Caleb Williams last year in the rookie year, but they've really come together, man. This is an incredible start to the season for Odunze. He's looking like a real deal wide receiver 1. You got Purdy. Let's get him back from that injury. He's a good backup for your Daniels. Kittle, same thing. Need him back. Blue, Hook him, baby. Love Jaden Blue. Let's see what he looks like with these touches this week. If he gets some playing time. Stevenson, I think, is a good depth piece, but he's going down. Henderson going up. Brian Robinson Jr., I think he's very droppable. Total contingent play, though, if McCaffrey were to miss time. Colts defense strong. Any moves? I think, who is your starting tight end right now is what I'm confused about. If you're, you might need some help at tight end, right? Maybe you're kind of streaming tight ends, which is fine until Kittle gets back. There's been a lot of good tight ends week to week. Waller. You could pick up Tommy Tremble, a good spot start at tight end. My advice would be move on from Brian Robinson Jr. Maybe try to figure out tight end a little bit. But otherwise, this team is fired. Actually, I love this team. You got to be doing well in this league. You got to be killing it, especially if you flexed or started Genty last week. Genty had the highest running back score of any player this season. He put up the game with 32 and a half point points. So I hope you started him. Hey, shout out again. Oh, yeah. Look at this guy keeping up with the chat. Impressive. You would think that, Neil. You would think that, but I'm actually way behind on the chat. I'm jumping ahead for the supers because I gotta shout out to my guys supporting the channel. But no, I'm way behind in the chat. Nothing new here. And yeah, I think Trimble is a good play. Okay, Hunter Henry, so not Derrick Henry. I still think your running backs are really strong. You got Hunter Henry, then you're good. I think don't make any moves. Potentially get off Brian Robinson Jr. and get on to some of these new exciting players for the second half of the season, whether it's Kendre Miller, Brashard Smith. If Bashal Tutin's available, go for those kind of guys. But I like that you're stashing Blue as well. Yo, Sam, thanks again for the super chat, my man. Let's get into it. This is fun. And I appreciate you being here tonight. All of the super chats, all of the support. Can't thank you enough. Thank you for supporting the channel. Let's get into Sam's team. And also in the chat, let everyone else, let me know what you think. As we're tackling these questions, we're doing it as a team. We're doing it as a community. We're trying to crowdsource answers here, give everyone the best possible chance to win their fantasy matchups. I don't know everything. And I'll admit, I'm going to be wrong a good amount of the time, but I'm trying to learn from y'all as well. So let's see what we can do for Sam here. 14 team PPR. He's got Stafford. I hope you started him because what a sick performance. Stafford had the most passing yards this week in his win that he's had in any one game since he won the Super Bowl since that season. The second most passing yards he's had in that time period was last week. So he's going off the week before. Hampton, freaking love to see it. Hampton's averaging, 0.84 fantasy points per touch, 68 touches. He's moving in the right direction. Najee out for the season. He's had 2 weeks over 20 fantasy points and half point. This is PPR. He's even more utilized. He's catching balls. He's got some big weeks, so I love that. Scattaboo. You've seen me roll the clip. If you haven't seen me roll the clip, let's roll a short version of the clip. This is a Scattaboo channel for sure. Let's hit it. The dude, maybe you can catch him, but you can't tackle him. And maybe you can hit him behind the line of scrimmage, but he's going to keep going. Maybe you can touch him, but he's going to stiff arm you into the shadow realm. Scattaboo, it was always the plan. It was always obvious. If you didn't draft Scattaboo, if you haven't acquired him already, it's too late. One of my most drafted players this year. I was talking with, everyone I talked to was in on Scattaboo. Everyone, we were all in. I don't know who was out on Scattaboo, but if you saw him in that college football quarterfinal game against Texas, he can do it all. He had a passing touchdown, bunch of rushing yards, bunch of reception yards. Dude is crazy. And then now he's killing it on social media. Everyone's in. Rico Dowdle, very fun, good for spot starts this week with Chuba out, but hasn't been incredibly good yet. Jason and Debo, I love that. Really strong wide receivers. Great spots to be in, both kind of the wide receiver ones on their own team. Tyler Warren, love it. Yeah, he's been crushing. He's the next big rookie breakout tight end. The bench is Bijan. Okay, I know Bijan's on a bye, so that's the only reason on the bench. She scared me for a second there. This team just went from incredible to off the charts. You have Bijan with Hampton and Scadaboo. You're going to be rolling people every week if those guys are all in your lineup. I love that you have Rashee Rice. Same sentiment there. When he comes back, he's a top 3, 5, at worst, top 10 wide receiver any given week. He's going to be the engine of the offense for the Chiefs. You just know it. I love Jordan Mason, one of my most drafted players this offseason. Shout out to the Vikings. Rachaad White's good for some spot starts. That's fun. I mean, you've been attacking the waiver wire. You have guys like Rachaad White and Dowdle. You've been attacking that waiver wire. J-Mo's fun. Taysom's fine, like I said. I feel stacked here in both leagues. 3-1 lost because of you started JJ McCarthy. Yeah, don't let Neil Orfield know, but JJ McCarthy's having a rough go. I'm confident in JJ McCarthy, though. I will say I am confident in the Vikings offense, the system, Kevin O'Connell. So let's have some better days ahead for JJ McCarthy. But the injury, it's been a rough start. Injured again. So this is a very fun team, a sick team, 14-man PPR. You got lucky because it feels like you kind of punted QB, or maybe you had another QB, like you said, JJ McCarthy, and now you've pivoted onto Stafford and you've struck gold. So this team's fire, man. This team's definitely winning. Okay. We know that Sam is winning in 2 of his leagues this year. So very nice. Jordan Mason, I'm back. Yeah, you know I love Jordan Mason. I just can't quit him. But it's a tough matchup this week against the Browns. It's going to be tough. We're hoping for a touchdown. And yeah, JJ McCarthy has started 2 games and had over 23 fantasy points in one of them. That's good. That's good. That is good. I'm still in on JJ McCarthy. I think he's super accurate. He throws a nice ball. I think he's got that rushing upside to him as well. He's got that dog in him. He's the guy. We just got to get him healthy. We need Kevin O'Connell to whisper those quarterback whisperer things that you would say to a young quarterback and get that guy rolling. Get him on the field again. Thanks again to Sam. Thanks again to D2 Pac-Man for the super chats, for the great questions. To Quincy. Appreciate y'all. Let me catch up a long, long time ago where we were. Oh my God, so far behind. I hope you guys are having a great Saturday night. I'm having fun. Like I said, I went to the beach earlier today with the fam, so I'm feeling pretty good, feeling a little bit of the sun. I think we're here. I think we're at Visas question. Do we like golf stacks for tomorrow? Hell yeah. Big time golf stacks going up against the Bengals defense should be able to take advantage, get something going. I mean, we've seen the Bengals do it to anyone and everyone. So what's to say the Lions? We've seen the Lions do it against everyone and anyone. What's to say we don't see the Lions pop off again, put up some big numbers? Yeah, what's up, Kenzo? Should I start Taysom Hill or Darren Waller or Fannin? Give me Darren Waller. Let's do it. Let's roll with Darren Waller, the hot hand. I like Fannin too, though. Yeah, thanks, Levi. Thanks again. Splash zone. Do I start Michael Carter, Dalton Schultz, Keon Coleman, or Cooper Kupp? Yeah, you got the Terry McLaurin out. You got Bucky out. If it's full point per reception, give me Cooper Kupp. If it's half point per reception, give me Keon Coleman. Let's wait and see on Michael Carter and what his full role is. And even if he gets a lot of touches and has the RB1 role, is he still splitting with DeMarcado? And is that role actually valuable for the Cardinals? We didn't see it being, we weren't seeing it be so valuable for James Conner and Benson. You know, maybe that's part of the small sample size and being schedule dependent, but it wasn't that great of a spot to be in already. Caleb Davis, yeah, what's up, my man? Says, should I trade Worthy and AJ Brown for Amon-Ra? Dang, that's kind of tough. I'm going to say yes. I would like the best player in the trade. I would like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Worthy looking good, though. And AJ Brown, not a bad flex. Quincy Jones wants to know, start one in the flex, PPR, Keenan Allen. Oh, I think we tackled this, right? We tackled this. But I love Woody Marks. I think Woody Marks is also a must start this week. So honestly, I know we were talking about this down in the chat already, but if you've got Woody Marks, bro, I'm starting Woody Marks over all of these guys this week. All of them. I want to let the good times roll. Let's keep Woody Marks in the lineup. He just went off for 26 fantasy points and half-point PPR. He did it with a bunch of receptions too, 2 touchdowns against the Titans. He's averaging 1.11 fantasy points per touch. If he gets 20 touches in this matchup, he's going to put up 20 points plus. And he's doing it against the Ravens defense that you can totally take advantage of. The number one adjusted points allowed for the running back position. The Ravens have the worst defense. They're terrible against the run, against opposing running backs. So give me Woody Marks, but then obviously Keenan Allen's a great start too. Can't go wrong. You got a lot of good options there. Just a tough matchup for Jordan Mason. Just want to say thanks, brother. Hey, thank you, Sam. Hey, thanks so much. Another dono and another super sticker. My man. Thank you for supporting the channel. And come back anytime. Anytime you have questions. Super chats, always appreciated, never required. But you do get to jump the line. I don't make the rules. That's just what the fantasy community has decided. So you can find that anywhere on anyone's channel. But thanks again. And let's win these leagues. Let's do it. Catching up with the chat, with the bros. Caleb was saying, or actually, I think I was still here with Melp. Melp was saying start Pollard or Chase Brown. Oh, it's ugly. It can't get any worse than that. Can't get much worse than that. Do we know is Tajay Spears is not playing, but they activated his window? It can't get worse than this. These are 2 awful options. Let's go Pollard. Although Pollard's almost a must-sit player, and Chase Brown's definitely a must-sit player. That's tough, my man. Start 1, says Quincy Jones. Defense, the Browns versus the Vikings or the Cardinals versus the Titans. I think you have to go Cardinals versus the Titans and take advantage of how bad the Titans have been. They just got shut out with the Texans. The Cardinals defense is not bad either. We expect some turnovers from the rookie QB. The Vikings are pretty confident, pretty competent, pretty good. Even though the Browns defense is much better than the Cardinals defense. Let's play the matchup here. Yeah, I think for full PPR, still give me Pollard, Melp. Ezekiel Ruiz says, should I flex Ayomanor or Charbonnet? Give me Ayomanor. We got to D2's question. Thanks again, D2, for the super chat. Caleb was saying, let's see what Caleb was saying. Caleb was saying he traded Slayton and Tolbert for Matthew Golden. Good trade. Hell yeah, brother. I'm in. Love it. hook 'em horns. I'm a big Golden fan. We just need him to connect with love. It's been frustrating, but big things ahead. I'm not so in on Slayton. Maybe his role improves a little bit with Neighbors out, but I'm not so in on Slayton. I don't know. I don't see the appeal. Tolbert, he's fine while CeeDee Lamb's out, but he's okay. He led the team in receiving touchdowns last year with 7, but let's go Golden. Let's go for upside. Let's try to win our leagues. Let's go big. Splash Zone. Do I start Michael Carter, Dalton Schultz, Keon? Okay, yeah, we got that one. Nice. Dude is good. Respect. Hey, thanks again for the kind words. Thoughts on my 12-team half point? Yes, we got to this one. Appreciate you again. Thanks, D2. Nico says he's 3-1. He's in a 10-team. He got offered Josh Jacobs plus Chubb for ETN plus Dobbins or ETN plus Woody. My other running back is Breece Hall. Jacob's schedule looks enticing. What would you do? I'm not giving up Woody Marks for hardly anything. I'm holding on to Woody Marks. ETN's also pretty interesting. He's doing very well. Josh Jacobs is pretty nice though. Josh Jacobs, he's had 90 touches. He's averaging 0.75 fantasy points per touch. So he's above the threshold of being completely volume dependent, but he's getting a ton of volume. He's in a great offense, great offensive line. They've had some injuries, good defense to back it up, good game scripts. I want Josh Jacobs. I don't really care about Chubb. I'm not so interested, but I don't want to give up Woody Marks. And I'm fine with giving up Dobbins. So give up Etienne and Dobbins for Jacobs and Chubb. I think you're not necessarily. I think Jacobs' ceiling is higher than Etienne. So, and yeah, okay. I would give up Etienne and Dobbins for Jacobs and Chubb. I'm convinced. The Josh Jacobs ceiling is just so much higher. He put up 29.7 fantasy points in his highest scoring week. Etienne is averaging just a very similar amount of fantasy points per week, but Etienne, his ceiling is much lower, but he's still good. And then Dobbins is a very, very low ceiling play. So I want to go for Jacobs. I think you're right. Let's give up Etienne and Dobbins for Jacobs and Chubb. If you can get someone else that's not Chubb, maybe throw in a different player there. Yeah, Josh Jacobs, take that trade. Caleb's on the right track. I had to come around a little bit to it, but it made sense. Thanks again to Quincy. In 712 Hockey, what's up, brother? How we doing? What's up, B Growing Stuff? What's up, Sammy? Alex G. Melp. Yeah, Melp said he got Bijan on the bye, and he traded Kyron Williams and some other random stuff for Malik Neighbors before the season started. That's tough, Melp. That's just bad luck. But you'll get out of it. You'll get out of it. Hockey says, so I have a free roster spot for the first time this season. Nice. I used it to pick up Brashard Smith. Nice. Runner up to pick up was Kyle Williams. No, you made the right move. Kyle Williams, we haven't even heard from this guy all year. I wish I didn't listen so much. I listened to some other people who were high on Kyle Williams. They got me to draft Kyle Williams a few times. Dude's a bum. Maybe he breaks out in the second half of the season. Let's hold out some hope. But Brashard Smith is getting more touches, and he could take over that backfield, but I think it's still a three-headed monster. But I think Brashard Smith's the most interesting piece over Pacheco and Pacheco and Hunt going forward. He's got to prove it a little bit still. Yeah, thanks again, D2, for the super chat. Glad we could answer that one for you. Thanks, brother. Sam says, thank you. Agree with Chase situations. Very unfortunate. Yeah, it's tough, man. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Kind words. Shout out to Neil Orfield. I mean, you guys already know. I'm not breaking any news here, but Neil Orfield is incredibly sharp, incredibly smart fantasy player, analyst, winner. The guy won $1 million playing DFS, if you haven't heard. So if you're not subscribed to Neil Orfield's channel, The Flannelverse, do it right now. Make sure you're subscribed. He goes live all the time. He breaks down the DFS slate in season before pretty much every primetime game. He goes live all the time. He has great guests on. They're always going through the data, running the numbers, running the sims. He's a proven winner, super good guy. And he also came on the channel this summer. He was on this channel. We drafted some best ball teams. We cut it up, had a lot of fun. He's a big Minnesota Vikings fan. So you guys already are, right? You guys are definitely, you're in on the fantasy space. You know these sharp guys like Neil. But for some reason, if you guys haven't crossed paths yet, sub to Neil Orfield. Check out his channel. He's a killer. At the same time, very nice guy. Do I start Zay Flowers or JMO? Give me Jameson Williams against a very beatable Bengals defense. And Jared Goff's been on fire. You know, the Lions offense been on fire. Zay Flowers without Lamar Jackson's a little tough, but maybe Cooper Rush does use him and lock down on him and target him a bunch. You know, like best case scenario, I see Zay Flowers getting like 10 receptions for like 90 yards, maybe a touchdown, which sounds pretty good, actually. Maybe he doesn't get the touchdown. Sounds still fine, but JMO, best case scenario, putting up, 24, 25 points, 30 points, and he might only need 3 receptions or 4 receptions to do it. I kind of just sold myself a little bit back onto Zay Flowers, but I actually don't think it's going to be that good. So let's not fool ourselves. But I was hearing some things, and maybe with Lamar out and the Ravens in a negative game script where they're playing from behind, mean, the Texans defense is pretty strong too, so maybe they Stingley just locks down on Zay Flowers. I'm gonna go JMO. Beat Growing Stuff. How you doing, my man? Good to see you again. Pick 2, half PPR. Pittman, Marks, Chase Brown, must bench. Walker, thanks. Walker has a tough matchup. Give me Woody Marks, the must start play of the week. And then I'm going to go Pittman because I think Pittman in the Colts against Las Vegas. That's right. I think that's a fine matchup. Let me just confirm against the Jake Seeley matchups this week. The Colts, it's a fine matchup, middle of the road against the Raiders. Not super great matchup, but it's fine. I think it can work. I think the matchup for Ken Walker's pretty tough. I like Ken Walker. Let's go Pittman though. Pittman and Marks. Pittman's been on a roll. Oh, another super chat from Sam. Hey, appreciate you, my man. Hell yeah. Look, I just scrolled down a little bit. Lucky I caught it. Usually, sometimes it flags. Okay, there, I just saw it pop up. Sometimes it flags super chats, but sometimes I have to actually scroll to see it. Thanks again, my man. Dude, the donos. 100% appreciated. Question from that 14-man PPR where I have Bijan, Hampton, Scattaboo, Mason. Yeah, hell yeah. Should I drop Rico Dowdle or Rashad White right before the game so no one else can pick up the lottery tickets? Like Jaden Blue or like Keaton Mitchell or something. If you feel like you're never going to start Rico Dowdle or Rashad White, maybe drop one of them for a lottery ticket like Jaden Blue. But that's kind of like galaxy branding it. That's kind of like going like next level. What do you guys think in the chat? It is kind of defensive play. I'm usually trying just to win with my team more than I am trying to make someone else lose. So like if you drop Rico Dowdle or White after picking them up, obviously no one else can start them. So that's kind of interesting because then like you are playing a defensive move of like, oh, you guys could have picked them up and flexed them, but I picked them up and then dropped them so no one can use them. And my starting players are all just better. And now you guys are flexing worse players. So there is something to that. I think Jaden Blue is going to be interesting going forward. I don't know if we're going to see it all in this matchup against the Jets for Jaden Blue. Fingers crossed. I mean, it could be insanely fun. It could be insanely good. But like, what do I really expect? I really expect Javonte Williams to hold down the role. Maybe Jaden Blue gets 4 total touches. Maybe he gets 8 total touches. But let's say he gets 4 to 6. I don't think we're going to have enough sample size to see convincingly that he is the next Woody Marks or something like that. I think we're going to kind of think that, oh, he's kind of right in line with Bashal Tootin, best case scenario, 6 touches and a touchdown kind of thing. So I would say probably just hold tight with Rico Dowdle and White, and let's evaluate what's going on with Chubb's calf injury and Bucky Irving's ankle injury after this week. And, then you might have some trade leverage on one of those guys if people get really desperate to flex. Kind of my 2 thoughts on that, Samuel. But if you're really excited about Jaden Blue, I still think it's kind of a long shot thing to do. But you're definitely thinking through the options. I love to see it. Sammy was saying, should we stash Tajay Spears or Michael Carter? Would have to give up Isaiah Bond. I am cool with giving up Isaiah Bond to stash Tajay Spears or Michael Carter. I think I slightly prefer Tajay Spears because we saw what he could do when Pollard missed time last season. He had some 20-point weeks. He had some nice games. Michael Carter, to be determined. I'm slightly in on Spears over Carter for a rest of season stash if you don't need to flex someone right now. If you need to flex someone right now, let's go Michael Carter. Sounds like you're in a position where you can wait. Isaiah Bond is fun. Hook 'em horns, another guy we like, but I don't know what his ultimate ceiling is going to be. Kind of have to wait and see. Tillman's out for a while, so there's some opportunity for Bond, but Dylan Gabriel getting his first start. Let's see how it goes. The Cleveland Browns offensive line is underwhelming. Alex G, what's up, brother? Good to see you. How you doing tonight? Hope you're having a good Saturday. Start Judy Higgins or Trey Tucker tomorrow in PPR. Give me Jerry Judy. I think, what if Dylan Gabriel just locks in on Jerry Jeudy as the top target and peppers him with targets? I think we've seen Jeudy have some ceiling weeks. I was thinking about this too. I have a league, my oldest dynasty league, where I have to either flex Jerry Jeudy, um, or Michael Carter, and I think I'm gonna go Jerry Jeudy. Trey Tucker can be fun too, but I mean Trey Tucker's playing a lot. He's playing a lot of snaps. He had a good week already. He had a career game. I wouldn't hate going Trey Tucker if you think that game environment's just more of a shootout versus the Colts. The Colts secondary, I heard this on Pat Kerrane's Legendary Upside walkthrough for the week. There's something going on that I can't put my thumb on it, my finger on it, but like there's something going on with that Colts secondary. I think they're either just beatable or they've had some injuries. You guys might know. I'd have to like pull up some news on that to really know what I'm talking about. But the indication was it could be a Jacoby Myers week. It could be a Trey Tucker plus week. And if Brock Bowers is out, did those guys just earn more targets? So if you're worried about the London game, about the Vikings defense, and you're not a fan of Dylan Gabriel and what Judy's been doing, I would rank them Judy, Trey Tucker, then Higgins, but I could see starting Trey Tucker. Yeah. Yeah, that's just tough, Melp. That's just tough with neighbors. Anyone who had neighbors is hurting right now, right? Thanks again to Sam for the super chat and all the stickers. And appreciate you all for being here and all the questions we've got. I'm gonna go ahead and close the YouTube poll. Make sure you voted if you haven't already, and then also make sure you hit the like on the stream if you haven't. I would super appreciate it. And thanks for being here. Thanks for the question. What's up, Frogs? Nico, how we doing, guys? I'm gonna end the poll. Make sure you vote on the poll, and then let me know in the chat what you guys voted. Like, what's your problem at flex? If you have a QB or a tight end issue? What's going on? Boom. Ended the poll. Let's see the results. What's your toughest sit start this week? Is it at flex, 65% of y'all, or at QB tight end, 35%? So yeah, everyone, 57 votes, a good amount of votes. Everyone's feeling the pain at flex, it seems. I think we're all in the same boat. There's the legitimate QB injuries where Lamar Jackson's out. There's a lot of backup quarterbacks getting play. But you guys have a lot of questions at flex as well. So I think that kind of rings true what we've been seeing. Sammy wants to know, he's also currently running Ayo Manor as his wide receiver 3. Should I switch in Trey Tucker with him? I think I would. Yeah, the Colts are missing their cornerback. That's what it was. Who was that? You guys would know. You guys would know this. I can't remember his name right now. I am a slight lean to Trey Tucker over Ayo Manor, but I think they're both pretty fun options for upside. Kind of low floors though. Tyler, what's up, my man? How we doing, Tyler? Hope you're having a great weekend. Need 2 for full PPR. Both my running backs are on buys. He's got Amari DiMercado, Nick Chubb, and Sean Tucker. Man, this is tough. We're definitely going Nick Chubb against this Ravens defense. Totally beatable defense. The best defense matchup for running backs, for opposing running backs, plus matchup. We're going Chubb. We're going Amari DiMercado, and we're hoping he gets more than 4 touches. He only got 4 touches on the ceiling. He got a touchdown already. But can he get some action? Let's hope. I think Sean Tucker is the one who will get the least touches. And it's a really tough matchup against the Seahawks, too. The Seahawks have not allowed a rushing touchdown so far this season. Hey, appreciate you, my guy. Thanks for being here. Got the Frogs. We got Tyler. We got Nico. Let's see. And then Nico wants to know thoughts on golden ceiling and dynasty. Great question. And this is the answer I was giving all summer. So I'll give you that answer, and then we'll talk more about like how things have changed for both of the players. Dwayne McFarland. You guys know Dwayne McFarland from Fantasy Life, from following Dwayne on Twitter. I tweet at Dwayne a lot. I don't know him personally, but I think he's great, really sharp guy. I listen to a lot of podcasts he's in, and I read a lot of his content. And I was DMing, or not DMing, I was messaging him just on Twitter and asking him about Golden during the summer back in June. And in Dwayne McFarland's Supermodel, he comped Matthew Golden to high-end comp Lad McConkey. So I think the ceiling in Dynasty for Golden is Lad McConkey. You look at their college production, the teams they played on in college, their college teammates, and their ability to run routes anywhere on the field. Golden is very similar to McConkey. You traded Pickens in the summer for Rome and Golden. Okay, I actually love this trade because I'm a huge Pickens fan, but right now Rome is probably preferred over Pickens 1-for-1. And then you get the Golden little icing on top. Wondering if I should hold on to Golden or trade away. Also have Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, Jacoby, and Saquon. Honestly, in Dynasty, let's try to trade Saquon before everyone else figures out that he is really trending in the wrong direction. Saquon's only averaging 0.61 fantasy points per touch. He's been held up by the high volume, the 91 touches, the 3 touchdowns. But I think this is the time to get rid of Saquon as fast as you can. That's what I would do in Dynasty. Let's keep Golden, and I think his stock can go up. He's a first-round pick in real life and in fantasy for Dynasty. Let's wait until Golden gets cooking the second half of the season. I think you just hold on Golden. I wouldn't move him. I want to see what he can do. You got Caleb, Stafford, and Woody as well in that league. So I have a surprising contender. I love that for you. Yeah, Caleb and Stafford are great. Both of them surprisingly good. And then Woody Marks, hell yeah, brother. I'm jealous. I don't have Woody Marks in a single Dynasty league. I don't know how I missed out. But yeah, Crafton McBride is sick as well. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for being here, Nico. Hope you're having a good weekend, my man. The Frogs. Can't figure this one out. Woody Marks or JMO this week. Both have a ton of upside. I think somebody else had the exact same question, and I told them it's Woody Marks, damn it. We're starting Woody Marks. It's a must-start play. Woody Marks, he put up 26 fantasy points last week. That's the 11th best performance by a running back on the entire season. He did it on 21 touches. He was averaging 1.11 fantasy points per touch. If they give him 15 touches, he's going to have 16, 17 points. If they give him 20 touches, he's going to have 22 points plus again. I mean, this dude, I think last week he had, well, we could do the math. He had 1.23 fantasy points per touch. Let's get this guy more involved. Woody Marks, wheels up. It is the best matchup of the week for running backs against this Baltimore Ravens sorry defense. They're the best matchup for opposing running backs. So let's do Woody Marks. I love JMO. I want to see more. It's also a smash spot for JMO against the Bengals. But in the Lions, high-scoring offense. Lower floor play. I think their ceiling is similar. So let's go Woody Marks with the higher floor. Tyler, start 3 in PPR. Oh, I love the Jack Black profile pick too. Sick. Big fan of Jack Black. The dude is just, we all love Jack Black. School of Rock, Tenacious D. What's the other one? The one where my favorite Jack Black movie. I can't think of it. Oh, it's the one where he sees people for who they really are. I'm going to find out. I have to pull this up. Jack Black movie, sees through people for who they are. Costanza was in that one too. What was it called? I haven't seen this movie in so long. Jack Black in Shallow Hal. Yes. Shallow Hal from 2001. That was like one of my favorite movies back in the day. And I was a kid when that movie came out too. So like something wrong with me. But I thought that movie was so funny. George Costanza. Yeah. Shallow Hal. Bro. Hey, what's up? How we doing? Nice and blunt. Hope you're having a great weekend. Very nice Saturday. Getting ready for some week 5 NFL action. Let's see. Sorry, I just spaced out for a second there. I thought someone was DMing me on Twitter and I was trying to make sure I didn't miss something. So Adam says, would you go Travis Hunter or Jalen Tolbert off the wire with Turpin out? Yeah, School of Rock will forever be my favorite Jack Black movie. I think like naturally it just is. I have this weird connection to Shallow Hal that I really liked it when I was a kid. But yeah, School of Rock is the best. I have a story on that one too. So Adam says, would you go Travis Hunter or Jalen Tolbert? It's kind of tough. Let's look at the matchups. This is just Jake Seeley, the Athletic, his column he does every week for adjusted points allowed. So which teams' defenses give up what to their opponents? For the wide receivers, I already knew this. Kansas City's pretty stingy. They are down here 26 out of 28 this week, ranked, Jacksonville versus KC. So this is a pretty bad spot for Travis Hunter. On the opposite end of the spectrum, actually, not even that far off. I guess I was kind of imagining. I know the Jets are a good matchup for quarterbacks and running backs, but it seems like a bad matchup and it's Sauce Gardner related, but Dallas against the New York Jets, the 19th matchup. So they're both pretty negative matchups. So let's think more about it. Like I probably get more excited about Travis Hunter, but with Turpin out, with CeeDee Lamb out, we've seen Ferguson just eating targets underneath and doing really well. It sounds gross, but Jalen Tolbert is probably a safer play than Travis Hunter. I think with Travis Hunter, if we're not adjusting our priors, we're going to start Travis Hunter. We're excited to see what he can do. But given all the information we have and what's going on with the Dallas offense and the matchup is getting slightly better, I'm going to go Tolbert, but I kind of hate to say that. And it might just be more fun to play Travis Hunter. I'm benching Travis Hunter in my full PPR Dynasty League where I thought about flexing him. I'm going to end up flexing, I think, Jerry Jeudy. But yeah, appreciate you being here, Adam. Hope you're having a great Saturday, a great weekend. And for anyone who doesn't know, Adam also does content on his channel, Nice and Blunt. Make sure you check him out. Make sure you're sub there as well. He puts together a lot of really good stuff. He's always looking ahead at the matchups and putting out some really solid stuff. Shellhout is a rare pull. yeah, that is kind of the different Jack Black movie. He's been in so many too, and like there's he's done it all. But Chiefs are really tough, but specifically against wide receiver ones, feel like in a prime time they could have to make Hunter look somewhat viable. I think so too, because I know that the Chiefs always target the best player on the opposing team and really kind of cancel them out. So is that going to be strange? Is that going to be Brian Thomas? Are they going to be, doing that with ETN and kind of making ETN look bad? But yeah, I think Hunter is viable, like you said, and we know that Hunter has great hands. He had a lot of spectacular catches in college, and he was an end zone target kind of guy. So maybe he catches a lucky touchdown. Tolbert led the Cowboys in touchdowns last season with 7. So he's not an unfamiliar face for them. I think he's got some opportunity to get more targets this week. Yeah, Dimey Brown coming back makes it tricky. I think I agree with you. Yeah, and then Parker Washington has been randomly involved too, which clouds it even more. And then Trevor Lawrence is not the most exciting. Let's just go with, attached to Dak Prescott against the Jets, I think is a maybe more enticing play than the Jacksonville Jaguars, who've been good, but they've been winning despite Trevor Lawrence a little bit, I guess. I don't know. Like, and then ETN's been a big piece of that. Their defense is a big piece of it. School of Rock, one of my buddies in high school, he was like my doubles partner in tennis, and we just were close. We were hanging out. We're driving around, and he got a new car. Or he got a new car for him. It wasn't a new car, but he was driving this really old car, a hand-me-down car from his dad. I forget what it even was. It was like an Oldsmobile or something crazy. And he had like a 12-inch subwoofer in that. And we used to be complete degenerates and drive around his neighborhood listening to music way too loud. But that's not the point. He upgraded our senior year in high school to a truck. He got a 2-seater F-150, I think it was. And he put another 12-inch subwoofer in that one. And he put a monitor in it, which at the time was pretty cutting edge to have a TV screen in your car, after market. And what they did was they told him it can play DVDs along with on-screen navigation, all that kind of stuff. It can play DVDs, but it's not legal, or you're not supposed to be able to play DVDs while the car's in drive, only in park. But it was aftermarket to go, we'll turn off that functionality so that it will still play DVDs when you're in drive, even though it shouldn't. So I don't know if he paid extra for that or if he just found the right place to do it. The only DVD he ever had in his car was School of Rock, and he would play it every single time he drove. And he knew the lyrics to every single word of School of Rock songs, and he knew practically every quote from the movie. So it became like this thing. People would get in his car for the first time, and he would just put School of Rock on and not acknowledge it. And then someone would be like, hey, you're playing School of Rock in your car? That's pretty sick. And then he would just like bust out, knowing every line, knowing the lyrics. So that was a long time ago, but every time I see him, there's always a chance we're going to quote School of Rock. Yeah, that made me think about that. It's been a while. Very random. Tyler says, Tyler made me think about this because he's got the Jack Black in the profile pic. Shallow Hal was always on for some reason when I was a kid. For some reason, I watched it as a kid too. I feel like it's not even that kid appropriate. It's like a comedy. It's kind of, different. And I liked it. I haven't even seen it in so many years, but I definitely liked it when I was a kid. I feel like I need to rewatch it now. Of these 5, which 3 would you start in PPR? ETN, yes. We're starting ETN. It's a tough matchup, but he's been a very safe floor play, and the Jaguars are doing pretty well. Monday Night Football, kind of fun to be in. Here's ETN averaging 16 half point per game, and he does catch some balls, so I assume his PPR average is closer to like 17, 18. He's got 0.9 half point fantasy points per touch. He's got 71 touches, 3 touchdowns. So the dude's getting it done with being effective, not just racking up a ton of touchdowns, but he's also got some nice touchdown upside. Let's go ETN. Let's go Waddle with the outlook that he's now their wide receiver 1. And I think this could be I think he can still do it. I'll take Waddle over Olave. I'll take Montgomery over Rachaad White. Rachaad White has kind of a tough matchup against the stingy Seattle defense, who has not given up a rushing touchdown all season. Montgomery in a smash spot. Maybe you've heard the narrative. He's going back and playing again in his hometown. I think he's from Cincinnati. And I love Montgomery. I think he's really underrated. I just traded for him in Dynasty. He's averaging only 12 points per game, but he's averaging 1 fantasy point per touch. It's truly elite fantasy point per touch. So he's got 3 touchdowns. He also has the second highest score by a running back. Not the second highest, the 4th highest score by a running back this season with 28.9 half point fantasy points back in week 3. So the dude can smash. He had 151 rushing yards in that game, and he had 2 touchdowns. I think this could be a spot where the Lions are up by so much. They're running the clock out, and the game script is very favorable for David Montgomery. So I think in like DFS, he's pretty much a chalk play this week for many. I'm starting Montgomery where I've got him. I traded for him this week in Dynasty. I said it earlier. In my oldest Dynasty league, I traded a second round pick. I'm hoping to be a contender. I'm hoping that whatever. But I traded for Montgomery and Cooper Cup and a future fourth for my second. And I did it for Montgomery because I've got Bucky Irving out. I've got Aaron Jones out. I've got Najee out for the season. I've got Joe Mixon essentially out for the season. My other running back is Scattaboo. So I'm starting David Montgomery and Scattaboo this week, but I had to trade for Montgomery. And I didn't even generate the trade. I was offered the trade. We worked it out. One of my buddies, we talked during Thursday Night Football. And I'm also spot starting Cooper Cup this week. PPR, I think it's a fine spot to play him against the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm starting him over. I'm trying to think. I'm starting him over Travis Hunter. I'm starting him over. I think I'm flexing Jerry Jeudy, but it's between him and Jerry Jeudy. I might even go Cooper Cup. Yes, pimp exactly, Adam. Exactly. Pimp My Ride, School of Rock edition. Yeah, which was so funny to me too. Just like he was also kind of like our preferred um driver. Like he was the guy who's like, yeah, like I'll drive tonight. If we're like going out to like get food or like going to like the high school football game or whatever, like he just always wanted to be the driver. I think secretly he just like had car sickness or something if he wasn't the driver. So I don't know, but it was a 2-seater truck. Well, it wasn't actually, it wasn't actually a 2-seater because he had a bench in the back because the subwoofer was behind the bench. So he had a small bench in the back, but it was an F-150. It was, it's a fun car. It's a pretty sweet car actually to have senior year. Big upgrade from an Oldsmobile. I think we got through all the questions. I think we did it. Okay. It's been a while, but let's draft. Let's see what's available. Last night we got into some Underdog primetime hurry ups, the $3 entry. I don't even know if that tournament's still open. Let's go find out what they've got available on the daily slate in the NFL on Underdog. Yes, the hurry up is still available and the primetime Palooza is still available for Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. They'll definitely fill by then because it doesn't include the London game, the Sunday morning game. So it doesn't close especially early. But I want to draft some. And there's also the primetime playbook, which is, there it is, the $5, it keeps escaping me, the $5 option. So $5 to win 1,000, only 1,000 entrants. That's fine. I think that's fun. Can be fun. I really like this one, the primetime hurry up. There's 7,500 people, but a $3 entry can get you a 2,000. It's a $60 max. So I've done 12 of them. I think I'm going to do a few more. So if y'all want to draft with me on Underdog, if you're new, use promo code Candyman. Use referral code. My username is Candyman on Underdog. Whatever their best bonus is, you can get it for signing up now. Someone was telling me last night, I think it was Billy was telling me last night, they have a promo right now for new users on Underdog where I think if you deposit $5, you get $100 in bonus funds. If that's true, that's like a sick deal. I would definitely be interested in taking advantage of that deal if I was curious and wanting to join Underdog. All right, so let's get into it. A prime time hurry up. This is, I was describing this last night too. Adam says, pretty chill. Had a 99 Isuzu Vehicross in high school. Isuzu. That's a name I have not thought of in a long time. That's pretty funny. That seems like a pretty chill car. The Vehicross. Is it like a crossover? So, hey, and he's in here too. He's in the 2 spot. I'm in the 4 spot. Let me describe this tournament to y'all even further in depth. The primetime hurry up. You can only draft players from the Sunday Night Football game and the Monday Night Football game. There's only 4 teams, 2 games. It's the matchup of New England Patriots at Buffalo Bills on Sunday night, the Kansas City Chiefs at Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday night. There's 4 players in this draft, 4 drafters. There's 6 draft spots. You must start a quarterback and a tight end. You can only draft one quarterback, but you must start two wide receivers and one running back. You have a flex, so you could flex. You could draft an extra running back, an extra wide receiver, or an extra tight end. In this 2-game slate, I've been seeing people draft two tight ends, so flexing a tight end very often. It's half point per reception. It's best ball. Every player you draft hits your lineup. 6 players. You need to score, around 75 to, that's the low end of what you would take to cash to make some money in this. If you can get 90 to 110 points, you have a shot of winning these kind of tournaments. So 6 players, you need to average 15 or 20 points per player to really win. And for QB, you want to have more. I've done a few of these. James Cook is definitely the best player. Josh Allen's a very nice piece, but there's only 4 quarterbacks available and there's only 4 teams. So everyone gets a quarterback. And then you got to fill out the flex spots. Yo, Samuel with another super chat. Brother, as many questions as you got, I'm here for it. Thank you so much for all the super chats tonight, for being here, being a part of the stream. And you have some sick fantasy teams. So I know you're a sharp drafter and I know your season's going well. So I'm excited to hear, how your week goes, and hopefully you can take down this $1,200 league. It's pretty fun. That's a pretty nice pot. Last question. Should I trade Achane and Igbuka for Barkley? No. Not even close. Hold. Definitely hold. Barkley showed out, and Achane with Hill out is the target. Oh, should I trade? You have Achane and Igbuka, right? I'll scroll and look. Let me make this pick first. You don't have Barkley, right? I don't want Barkley. I want Achane and Igbuka in that deal. Okay, so let's go Worthy and then Mahomes at the turn is kind of the smart thing to do. ETN's a great pick too. I have a lot of ETN's my most drafted player right now in this format. I've been taking a lot of ETN. All right, so I'm gonna scroll up. Samuel was saying trade Achane and Igbuka. I'm pretty sure you had Achane and Igbuka on your team, right? I'm scrolling. Yeah, you have Achane and Igbuka. I did remember that. No, we can't, Samuel. We can't get rid of Achane. He's going to have even more opportunity, like you said, with Waddle out, and then Achane is actually averaging 0.96 fantasy points per touch. Super elite. 16.5 fantasy points in half point PPR. He's had a 22-point week. He's had 69 touches. Nice. 3 touchdowns. The dude is in elite territory. We have to keep Achane. Achane alone is worth more than Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, 0.61 fantasy points per touch, 91 touches, 3 touchdowns, only averaging 13.9 points per week, and his best week was a 16.4. So right now, Achane is an entire third of a fantasy point better per touch. So, and we expect Achane to get more targets from here on out. The way that it's looking with the way that it's going to be looking for him with Tyreek Hill out. I'm going to go Henderson here, so I at least have one running back. I'm going to bet on the Henderson breakout. I'm tempted to go tight end here. It's just, do I want Strange or Kincaid? I want Kincaid, I think. And then would I want Coleman or Hollywood? I don't want to get locked out of tight end because everyone's been flexing tight ends lately. So if you miss out on Hunter Henry, who has a terrible matchup against a really stingy Bills defense, who's really good against the tight end, and you miss out on Kelsey, then obviously you want to go Kincaid, but I've been seeing people draft Brenton Strange as a flex anywhere in this range. So I don't want it to come back around and then I have to draft Noah Gray, which would be fine because I still stack him with Mahomes, but it's not ideal, right? And then so far I have Worthy stacked with Mahomes. I've got Henderson and Kincaid as part of that game. My last two picks, I'll take one more wide receiver, and then I have a flex spot. I was really hoping I might be able to get um, Hollywood Brown, but I have another trick up my sleeve. My most drafted player. I might do it in this one, but having Worthy, I might not do it. I might not like super stack. Let's see. Let's see. I'm back on the clock. I have my last two picks. Adam gets lucky. He does get Brenton Strange there before he gets sniped. That's what I was afraid of. Hunter is kind of fun for that same thesis we were talking about, and I don't have any Jags yet. I've been drafting a ton of Tyquan Thornton. I'm pretty much overexposed to Tyquan Thornton right now, so I think I'm just gonna go Hunter. It seems really risky, but it could pay off. Maybe I should scroll down there. Probably Parker Washington and Dimey Brown should get equal amount of play. And then Brashard Smith. I don't think it's a Bashal Tootin team for me since I just took Travis Hunter, but I can continue to team stack. Don't want Thornton or Smith. I'm leaning Thornton. He's had 3 touchdowns the last 3 games. I think Xavier Worthy and Thornton can both be fine, but I need to get different. On this next one, I'm going to get different. I'm going to scroll down more. I feel like my team is not super unique, but it is stacked up, and then I need Hunter to hit. I really need Hunter to have a touchdown for this team to work. You got to be hunting touchdowns in this format. And then, yeah, the drafter in the one spot takes Trevor Lawrence with his last pick, stacked him with Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas at pick 9 or pick 8 is pretty good, I think. Shakir goes a little bit early, but Shakir might get pulled up when people take Josh Allen, so it's not unusual. He double stacks him with Coleman. And he does get Dimey Brown. So Dimey Brown's getting more drafted than he had been a couple days ago. Now we know that he is active. Hey, the first official member of the channel, Samuel has joined. He's a YouTube member. Appreciate you, my friend. I've been saying it all night. Thanks so much for the super chats. Thanks for sharing your teams, and glad that you're a part of the YouTube channel now. Exclusive perks. You get the emotes. You can fire off some emotes in the chat. There's the Fantasy Football Garage logo, the little like juke. You can fire off some Lamborghinis. Got a white Lamborghini, a yellow Lamborghini, and a blue Lamborghini. Boom. There you go. And yeah, essentially, as a channel member, you have access to priority responses. Anytime you want a little team like update, review, waiver wire, sit start, all that good stuff, I'll keep an eye out. And then my ideas around like what we're doing for channel members, it's going to be expanding, but yeah, man, just appreciate the support. And if you're on Twitter, make sure you follow me there too. You can always hit me up if you've got any like questions. I'm pretty active on Twitter, but I do have my Twitter notifications turned off on my phone, so like they don't ever alert me about anything. But I do check it, a couple times a day, just to see what everyone's up to. But that's where you can also find me there. I'm usually just like reposting other good content from my friends and people in the fantasy space and stuff like that. Thanks again for joining, being the first official member. Congrats. Very exclusive club to be in, and it's growing. Shout out. Thanks again for the super stickers too. Very fun. You can have to send you part of my pots of winnings. Hell yeah, brother. Anything I can do to help the community here. You're a member. You know all about it. We're about helping each other out, win our fantasy leagues, have fun, the good vibes, positivity, trying to learn something new every day, all the good stuff. So welcome in. Thank you again. Augustus Wetzel, how we doing, man? Good to see you. Traded Judkins for Jamar Chase. Who won? Brother, you got highway robbery on your opponent. Judkins is the guy. He's been averaging 22 and a half touches over the last 2 weeks, killing it, putting up big fantasy points. It's only up from here. Judkins is the guy. I mean, you're talking about Quinshon Judkins? Easy play. Obviously, we love Jamar Chase, but the situation in Cincinnati, the weak offensive line, bad quarterback play, potentially bad coaching. Quinshon Judkins for me from here on out. Adam, I want to look up a Vhit cross. I want to see what that is. I got the play $5 get 100 bonus with my partner deal going on the Underdog this year for new customers. Promo code BLUNT. There we go. Love to see it. Yeah, I've been hearing about that. Okay. I've been hearing about that. Billy was telling me about it. Very nice. I like this trade. I'm in on Judkins. I'm back in. I wish I drafted more Judkins. I was playing the cautious approach when we had the legal situation during the summer. Judkins was one of my most drafted players from, March, April, May, June. July, I went cold turkey. I didn't draft Judkins a single time after July. I think I sprinkled in a few times in August, very late, but I was still very skeptical. I mean, that legal situation didn't even resolve until the season had really started. So pretty murky there. But if you've got Judkins in any league, in any format, you're feeling good. Hey, appreciate this. Yeah, spread the good word. Be careful. You don't want your league mates coming in here and getting helped out too. But no. Thanks again, man. Good to see you. I got offered Devonta Smith and Woody for Judkins. Had to hold Judkins. Yeah. See, I'm probably in the same boat because we've just seen consistently Judkins getting the touches and both teams have bad offensive lines. Woody Marks, I'm super excited about. I think Woody Marks is a must start where you have him already. And if you got him cheap, you're especially happy. But that would be paying up a lot for Woody Marks. And then throwing in Devonta Smith has also been slightly underwhelming. The Eagles' passing offense and their volume and their play volume has been low. But to me, that comes down to like personal preference. And it's like, if Devonta Smith had been doing a lot to start the season, then maybe it'd be more convincing, right? But like where it's at right now, it's just not convincing enough. You regret the trade? Why would you regret the trade? No, Judkins is killing it. Let's go. Judkins here. Judkins putting up 0.77 fantasy points per touch, which is very good. It's above the range that I would say is someone's volume dependent, but he's getting a ton of volume. He averaged 22 and a half touches each of the last two games. He already has a game with 19.5 fantasy points. That's way more than what Saquon Barkley's best game had been this season at 16.4. He's averaging more points in fantasy than Barkley, and he's really only been active for the 2 weeks as like a full-time starter. Maybe you could say 2.5 weeks. So like Judkins over Barkley rest of season, in my mind, yes. I've gotten there. Oh, shit. Now we're finding out. You traded Judkins for Jamar Chase. I was reading it backwards. My bad. I wouldn't have hyped up Judkins so much in your face if I read that the right way the first time. I stand by what I said. I still want Judkins, but bro, it's Jamar Chase. Come on. You'll be okay. And in this path forward, in this universe that we're in, maybe Chase is the better pick for you. Depends, like Samuel was saying, depends on like what you got. Maybe you really needed wide receiver and you had plenty of running backs, right? I hope that's the case. Hey, sober thoughts. What's up, my man? Brees Hall or Jordan Mason? Give me Brees Hall. I think it's a better matchup against the Cowboys than Jordan Mason against a really tough Browns defense. So let's just hope Brees Hall can actually score for once. And with Braylon Allen hurt, he might get just a little bit more utilized too. I know Isaiah Davis can step into that role, but yeah. Yo, what's up, Matt C? Good to see you again. Prime Cam Newton or Josh Allen? Give me Josh Allen. I mean, Cam Newton's was insanely good for fantasy. I'd have to look. I'm pretty sure. Am I wrong? Josh Allen has had higher scoring fantasy seasons than Cam Newton. If not one, multiple. Or does Cam Newton still hold that honor? I honestly don't know off the top of my head anymore. But I believe Josh Allen is a better passer. They both had a ton of rushing touchdowns, right? Cam Newton was so good for fantasy, but I think Josh Allen's the guy. I mean, prime Josh Allen is like an entire tier above prime Michael Vick. Some people aren't ready for that conversation, but Michael Vick has never done anything close to what Josh Allen has averaged in his career when he's a starter. Josh Allen over 4,000 passing yards. Michael Vick was scratching 3,000. The rushing touchdowns, like it's just a different league, a different era. I love Michael Vick. He was a guy I used to have on my fantasy teams back in the day, and I was always really proud of it and excited to have Vick on my team until, there's some falling out there, but he came back. He atoned a little bit, but Josh Allen is like insane and rare air, right? What's up, El Pla? LP La? Should I drop Tootin? No. We're not dropping Tootin for Spears off of IR, PPR. No, and in PPR, we definitely want Tootin. Let me share some data with you. LP. So we already know Travis Etienne, right? He's one of the top running backs this year. He's averaging 16 fantasy points and half-point PPR. He's gotten 71 touches, 3 touchdowns. He's averaging 0.9 fantasy points per touch. Let's scroll down to Bashal Tootin. He's averaging only 6.5 fantasy points per year, but he's only had 24 touches in 4 weeks. So he's only averaging 6 touches per week, but he's averaging 1.1 fantasy points per touch, which is like insanely good, like very elite, like Woody Marks territory good. And it's better than ETN. ETN has more volume, so small sample size. Yeah, I bet if Tootin had 70 touches, it'd be closer to ETN's, but it's still better for now. He's got 2 touchdowns. ETN had 3. If whatever reason ETN missed time, Tootin is going to be elite. He's the next Woody Marks. He's the next Cam Scattaboo. I think he even has the opportunity to earn a standalone role with flex upside rest of season. And we might see it this week. I had a short I put out earlier today. I talked about it last night on the stream. I think an unlikely breakout candidate this week could be Bashal Tootin against the Chiefs. Maybe we see it. Maybe he scores 2 touchdowns. Maybe he just has a big breakaway run or catch. Or maybe he actually gets 10 or 15 touches and puts up, 10 or 15 fantasy points and starts to earn some respect. So Bashal Tootin, a hold, a stash, pick him up if he's available the rest of the season. Tajay Spears, he's coming off the injury. The Titans are one of the worst teams right now, if not the worst team. A bad offensive environment with a rookie quarterback. Let's stay away. I like Tajay Spears. I want to stash him, but not at the expense of Bashal Tootin. Great question, LP. Thanks for being here. Adam says trades are all about team needs and where you have surplus to move some assets. So it's all relative. Yeah, exactly. So back to what Augustus was saying, I was kind of speaking in a vacuum, just what I currently believe, and things change week to week. But what I currently believe rest of season in a vacuum is like Judkins is probably a better bet in half-point PPR than Jamar Chase. But your team need is what it comes down to. So totally right there. Sober says, start 2, Brees, Olave, Addison. Give me and is it it's let's just assume it's half point. Give me give me Brees and give me Addison. I love Addison though. I'm kind of a sucker for Addison. It's a tough matchup. It might be safer to go Olave. He's like third in the league in targets right now. The Giants, it's a beatable matchup for the Saints. Give me Brees and if you want to play it a little bit safer, Brees and Olave. But if you want that upside, Addison just had 114 yards his first week back. He's looking good. Winston, his connection was pretty nice. The Browns are a tougher matchup than the Steelers. I think Brees Olave is a way to go. We need to see a touchdown from Brees though. Brees has been pretty underwhelming. Let me pull open the data on Brees. I have to scroll down a bit because he's not up here with where he should be. He's averaging 0.63 fantasy points per touch, very similar to Saquon Barkley, but he has 0 touchdowns and he's only got 65 touches. He's only averaging 10 fantasy points per game, and his highest week so far is 15. So if you told me you're just not a fan of Brees right now and you think the Cowboys are underrated and you wanted to roll with Olave and Addison, I honestly, you could make a point. You could make a point there. Also, separate question: start Rico Dowdle or Addison? Give me Addison. I think Rico is a good spot for it to be a spot start flex. But let me scroll very far down to Rico Dowdle, who's only averaging 0.57 fantasy points per touch, pretty horrifically bad. You know, in the range of Kareem Hunt, in the range of Zach Charbonnet, Isaiah Pacheco, still better than Chase Brown. Only 33 touches. Maybe it's a small sample size thing. Maybe they've been using him in parts of the field where he's not getting a lot of high value touches. He only has 1 touchdown. He did have a 10-point week, but let's scroll up to Chuba Hubbard. He's not too far up. Chuba Hubbard averaging, it's better, 0.75 fantasy points per touch, 66 touches. So if he can get the touches and fill a role just like Chuba Hubbard was, maybe he gets 16 touches. Maybe he gets 12 fantasy points. That's kind of what I'm thinking for Dowdle, best case this week. I think Addison, we've seen what Addison can do. Like, we've seen Addison be the number 1 wide receiver in a given week, have 2-3 touchdown games. Plus, you're going to want to start Addison after you see this. Like, come on. It only takes 1 play for Addison to hit. Dowdle's going to have to accumulate the volume. Plus, Addison's so fun. Tough matchup, though. I totally get it. Let's get into another primetime hurry up. I think I'm going to max it this week. I don't always do 20 primetime hurry ups, but $3 entry, it's fun. It's fun to have a lot of sweats. And in this 2-game slate, it's tough to get every combination that I might want. I feel like I have gotten a lot of teams at ADP so far. After I draft this one, or maybe while this one's about to fill, I'm going to do a little bit of checking my exposures, checking my combinations. I'll probably do it after this draft. But I do need to start thinking about scrolling down because I haven't drafted, I haven't drafted Kayshon Boutte. I haven't drafted Brashard. I think I've drafted Brashard Smith once, maybe. I need to draft more Tootin. I need to draft more Dami Brown. I need to draft at least 1 Parker Washington, at least 1 Antonio Gibson. Probably worth sprinkling in Demario Douglas. And that's about it. It's about as far as I go. But all of those guys are viable as a flex. Vis Hayes, how we doing, my friend? Alex Potan Hera takes his belt back. The champ. Dang, I forgot about that card tonight. That must be, obviously it's going on right now, right? I'm going to pull it up on ESPN right now. I just want to see. Can you guys believe? Yeah, UCLA beats Penn State. Top events, UFC. Ankalav versus Pahera. Pahera wins with a knockout. Sandhagen lost by unanimous decision to, I can never say his name, but I've heard it. Dval Lish. Damn, I'm gonna fuck it up, but Dval Lish. I can't say it. Roundtree loses. Santos wins. I have to watch the highlights. Both Santos wins. Two Santoses. Hardy wins. Very cool. Yeah, fun stuff. Just finished. I'll catch the highlights for sure. Hey, Adam's back in here as well. Hope you're having a great night, my man. Drafting some underdog teams. Love it. Back on the clock. ETN makes it to me at the 4 spot. I'm gonna have so much ETN this week. I think my exposure was already like 40% ETN. Being able to get him here, the question becomes, do I take him with Brian Thomas or Mahomes? I think I still play it through Mahomes. I need to get more Mahomes. And he's with his rushing upside, and then the way he started the season with rushing upside, the rushing touchdowns, and then he goes off for 4 passing touchdowns. Jacksonville's a pretty good test, though. Pretty good defense, but let's play it through Mahomes. And then I'll backstack him. I'm not going to be able to get Worthy. If I'm very lucky, cross my fingers, maybe I get Kelsey. If not, we know how to do it with Hollywood, with Thornton, even Juju Smith-Schuster's draftable. Brashard Smith's a fun scroll down. Do I play Dynasty? Yes, sir. My first Dynasty league, I joined it in 2019, and it's still active. I am in 2 other Dynasty leagues. One of my Dynasty leagues folded coming into this season, unfortunately. I'm in a Dynasty league with Tom Strachan of the Fantasy Sanctuary, and also some other Dynasty guys in the space. And so that's a fun league. I'm doing well in that one. And then I have a Dynasty league. We did a Dynasty startup with PPR Tyler. BBG's in there. Huhames is in there. Hartman's in there. Anthony, Best Ball on Call is in there. A bunch of bros are in there. It's Steve from Fanspeak's in there. So we got a lot of good guys in that one. It's a fun league. We just started it up though. We did the startup draft. I think it was like the last week of July or the first week of August. And my team's doing all right. Could be better, but things are turning around. Yeah, Sober. How do you do? A lot of Dynasty, Sober? So I'm not like, I don't do a ton of volume in Dynasty, but I play enough to like know what's going on. And I've played it for a few years now, 6-7 years. Man, this is tough. I guess I'll just go Shakir and Hunter Henry. I actually want Coleman over Shakir right now. And then I kind of want Hollywood too. But do I press my luck and hope that no one tries to... I think Team Balboa will try to snipe me and flex Brenton Strange if I don't draft either him or Hunter Henry. So I'm just going to go Hunter Henry here, even though I actually would want Hollywood Brown or Shakir. The problem is if I left Hunter Henry, Adam's going to get him at the 1 spot most likely, and then Team Balboa is going to turn around and at pick number 19, he's going to want to flex Brenton Strange to go along with his stack that he's going to end up having with Trevor Lawrence. So I'm going to go Henry there to get ahead of the curve because I don't want to draft Noah Gray. It's not very fun. Oh, yeah, it was D. Valishvili. That's how we say it. Thank you. Yes, I've heard them say it, and I still can't say it. And you definitely can't read it. but that's the perfect way to get there. Yeah, I agree this tournament's worth filling. It's a good slate, some high upside stacks. Love New England in this. Yeah, I think New England's really fun in this too, right? And that should be the higher scoring game, New England and the Bills. If I'm not mistaken, it was like a 49.5 over under. I'm going to look at it right now. Oh, light mode, my eyes. It's a 49.5 over under with the Bills by 7.5. And then the Casey game is a 46.5. So I think that over under went up, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was always that. Kansas City minus 3.5 on the road, a road favorite against the Jacksonville Jaguars team that's been kind of nice. 3-1, decent defense, right? Pretty good defense, pretty good offensive line. No, Hollywood Brown goes, Juju Smith-Schuster goes, which is fine. I love playing it through Tyquan Thornton. And I'm actually drafting a little bit of Ramondre too, because it's a run funnel defense. So the Bills give up 165 yards rushing per game to their opponents. They only give up 125 passing yards. Do I want to play it through Rashard Smith, though, or Tootin? I'm going to go Ramondre on this one. I don't know. It just feels right. He's there. I do need to start scrolling down for some more Rashard Smith and some more Bashal Tootin, though. Is this the scroll down team, or am I just drafting another Tyquan Thornton? I have Patrick Mahomes unstacked. Let me get Tyquan Thornton. Make me feel good. But I think unstacked Mahomes could still win. The matchup against Christian Gonzalez, that's the matchup I worry about. I think that's very fair. I wonder who he's going to be lining up against, if it's more Shakir or Coleman. I don't honestly know. And I know hasn't Christian Gonzalez, he's been dealing with some injuries, but he's active, he's playing. I think that's an interesting way to like think about it. I just go with Coleman. I think he gets more air yards than Shakir. The target share is pretty close, and Coleman we've seen his ceiling. So I don't always take Coleman ahead of Shakir, but when I don't have Josh Allen, I'll just kind of mix it up with those guys. Mac Hollins goes. There you go. Getting different there. That's a definite scroll down, and a guy that could just, find the end zone. I think he already scored in week 1, if I remember correctly. I'm going to look really quickly at my completed exposures. So this says 12 teams. Let's refresh it. It should be, I think, 14. There we go. I've got 50% Tyquan Thornton. You know me. I guess I'm the sucker for Tyquan Thornton. I need to start scrolling down. 50% ETN feels good. 50% Travion Henderson feels good. 42% Drake May, my favorite way to play it. So like mostly Drake May, a little bit below on Mahomes, Lawrence, and I'm really low on Josh Allen. I need to start taking Josh Allen over ETN, but I think it's just I've also been drafting out of the 3 spot more often than the 2 spot. So that's mostly what that is. A lot of ETN, Henderson, some Ramondre, and then James Cook. I just need to get more luck to draft more James Cook teams. I've taken Hunt and Brashard Smith. Like I said, I need more Tootin. Tootin is very viable. Coleman, Brian Thomas, Hollywood, Worthy, Travis Hunter, Diggs, Shakir. I need to start scrolling down on wide receivers. I'm just taking Thornton every time. Strange, Hunter Henry, Kelsey, Kincaid. All of that's fine. Let's do one last, maybe not last, one more primetime hurry up if we can fill it. Just looking at those exposures, knowing what I know, how can I get different on these remaining drafts? Yeah, the revenge game for Hollins. Why not? Totally a thing. 100%. I'm trying to anyone else have revenge games in this? I guess not. Oh, Diggs. It's a Stephon. Yeah, the most obvious one. It's a Stephon Diggs revenge game. Stephon Diggs. You guys may have heard of him. He's he's a great guy. Do you guys know where's the clip? There he is. You guys know Stephon Diggs?
Diggs.
Stephon Diggs.
Diggs is the guy.
Diggs. 100%.
I'm a great guy. I'm actually a great guy. There's actually seems to be a few guys that don't think that.
Oh, Stephon Diggs. Never change. Yeah, exactly. No doubt. Yep. Stephon Diggs, he's quite the enigma. What a guy. From the 4 spot, so it's not going to be a James Cook team. It's not going to be a Josh Allen team, unfortunately, this time. But I will have a chance to get ETN or Worthy and then Mahomes again. I could go Worthy and Brian Thomas and then bank on being able to maybe even get Trevor Lawrence with my last pick. I still haven't seen anyone take Trevor Lawrence ahead of either Drake May or Mahomes. So it's pretty safe that if you just hold out, you should be able to get Lawrence. Obviously, everyone can only draft one QB, but the whole point there is if you can, you'll stack up Lawrence. You kind of need to do it in a way where you're already drafting all of the players you would stack him with before you draft him. So you would just hate to be in a position where you take like Brian Thomas and ETN or Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter or Brian Thomas and Tootin and then maybe Diami Brown. And then you go to get Trevor Lawrence and someone like skips on Drake May, and then you end up, they take Lawrence and you get Drake May, but at the same time, Drake May could have some standalone value. He has the rushing upside too, so maybe it's not the end of the world. And this slate, all of the quarterbacks can be viable, especially if you play it as if you're gonna get. If you play it such that you think you're gonna get Trevor Lawrence, you can't be wrong because the worst case scenario is you get Drake May. I'm going to do something here. I was expecting to get Worthy there. I'm going to pass on Mahomes and go ETN and Brian Thomas. And now we're in the universe where the Jaguars win and it's a high-scoring game. Or it's just a high-scoring game. They don't have to win, but we need a lot of touchdowns. So... Or the Jaguars defense is solid. Brian Thomas has a big game. ETN, he runs the ball, runs the clock out in the second half, keeping the Chiefs off the field. So I don't even need Chiefs pieces on this team to be right. There's just like, what do I think is the most common or most likely scenario to ETN and Brian Thomas both paying off. Okay, this is good. So everyone's drafted a QB. And obviously, I get to wait now. So I'm going to take advantage. I'm going to try to fill out my flex as quickly as possible and also not get left behind at tight end. Dang, he goes Henderson. That's what I actually really wanted the most. I'm going to go Kelsey here. And then Coleman's pretty fun. Hollywood could be nice. Hollywood's had a decent amount of targets. Nothing like week 1, though. But Kelsey's the obvious pick. Do I want to do Kelsey with Coleman or Kelsey with Hollywood Brown? Let's go on a limb and say it's Kelsey first. If I'm going to fill out my wide receiver 2, do I want to go ahead and scroll down now? I don't think I have to. I think Coleman can still get it done. Yeah, what's up, Billy? We're open. Thanks for being here. Glad you could join. Hope you're having a great night, man. Great Saturday. Good weekend. Looking forward to the week 5 slate. All right, it's ETN, Brian Thomas Coleman, and Travis Kelce. I'm definitely scrolling down for either a running back or a receiver. Is this the Bashal Tootin team that I needed, that I want? Or is it Brashard Smith, Antonio Gibson? I don't think we're going Ray Davis. They're just not really using him. Ramondre Stevenson's still there. I've drafted some Ramondre. Let's avoid that for now. It could be Brenton Strange, which would be really like 3 Jags might be too much, but at the same time, I'm considering Tootin. What is Brashard Smith? My eyes, light mode. What has Brashard Smith been doing? He's not been used so much. He's registering though, I think. Oh no, I don't think Brashard Smith's registered yet. But Kareem Hunt and Pacheco are both doing hardly anything. Yeah, I don't see him. He hadn't had enough fantasy points yet to register Brashard Smith. So let's have some fun. Let's go Tootin and Trevor Lawrence. This team is definitely different. Wide receiver, I could do. There's so many options. I'm going to go ETN and Tootin on the same team, that they just both get a lot of touches. They both score a lot. And Brian Thomas and Trevor Lawrence. So this is a all-out Jags stack. We need them to pass a ton. Kelce, want him to hit, and then Coleman, a piece of the other game. No Patriots, but I think at this point, it's like if I sprinkled in Boutte or Douglas, maybe I do want that. Antonio Gibson, I don't know. Just a different approach, and this is the Monday night game, so a lot of wait and see. If Coleman hits on Sunday, I'll feel good. This one has a chance to be different, and the ETN Tootin combo is probably lower owned for a large field tournament with 7,500 entrants. There have been primetime Palooza slates this year so far where 2 running backs on the same team was necessary to win. You think back to, was that a primetime slate when it was Bucky Irving and Rachaad White, or was that just a regular slate? I think that was one of the regular slates. I don't remember. Was it the Buccaneers in primetime? I can't remember. I think that was week 1 or 2, but I that's the first one that comes to mind for me. Nice and Blunt does flex Hunter Henry, and then the drafter in the 1 spot takes Strange. So the drafter in the 3 spot was forced to go Noah Gray with the Patrick Mahomes. There's worse things than having that stack, but it's pretty tough. What point does Vrabel stop eating crayons and give Travion the workload? I know, man. We can only hope. We can only pray, right? That's what we want. Travion's the guy. We want him to get more involved, more touches. Ramondre has the fumbling issue, and just come on, it's time. Definitely time. All right. That's going to do it for me tonight. We did it 3.5 hour stream after doing like 4 hours yesterday or whatever that was, but it's been super fun. Shout out again to all of y'all in the chat with the questions. We had a really fun time getting through these with y'all. Thanks for being here. Shout out to Samuel being the first official member of the Fantasy Football Garage. Thanks, my man, and for all the super chats and super stickers as well. To Quincy, to Eric, of course. Samuel, again, thank you so much for supporting the channel. D2 Pac-Man, again, thank you, my man. Hope you guys have a great week 5. Good luck in your matchups tomorrow. If you have any follow-up questions, you can always leave a comment on this video after it's over, and I'll follow up with you. Or you can post it on Twitter and tag me, especially if like a picture of your team or something too. I can take a look. But thanks for being here. Have a great night, everyone. Catch y'all in another draft real soon. Peace out.